What if the most feared grimoire in history held the key to powers beyond human comprehension? This ancient text isn't just a collection of spells. It's a portal to entities that exist outside our understanding, promising unimaginable horror to those who dare summon them. But be warned, this path comes at a great personal cost, a descent into darkness that few return from unscathed. The Lesser Key of Solomon, a grimoire shrouded in mystery, is said to have originated in the time of King Solomon, a figure synonymous with both wisdom and powerful magic. In this video, we will explore the history, contents, and practices associated with this infamous text, including the 72 demons of Solomon, the summoning rituals, and the treacherous dark path that it charts. More than just ancient magic, it's a journey into the darkest aspects of the human psyche, carrying consequences for those who explore its forbidden knowledge. We promise to reveal the true origins and history of the Lesser Key of Solomon, tracing its journey from alleged creation to its pervasive modern-day influence. We will detail the nature and attributes of the 72 demons, exposing the hidden meanings and potential psychological interpretations behind their sigils. And finally, we vow to uncover the chilling details of the summoning rituals and the potential risks involved for those who seek to invoke these entities. This video will delve into the practice of demon summoning through the Lesser Key, examining not only the rituals themselves, but also the very nature of the entities that are said to be summoned. It's crucial to understand the historical, cultural, and psychological context to fully comprehend the implications of wielding such power, which makes a balanced perspective paramount to understanding the practice. We understand that demon summoning might be met with skepticism, dismissed as mere superstition or fantasy by some. However, demonology's enduring influence stems from humanity's unyielding pursuit of forbidden knowledge and its fascination with power. Moreover, understanding demonology can offer valuable insight into the hidden aspects of the human mind, which is why it still holds such fascination today. Now, let's begin our descent into the dark path of the Lesser Key and the 72 demons of Solomon. Building upon the sinister allure of the Lesser Key, we now turn to its very origins, tracing its winding path from ancient whispers to the grimoire that has captivated and terrified for centuries. Understanding its creation is essential to understanding its power, for the history of the Lesser Key is not a simple tale of authorship, but rather a confluence of traditions, beliefs, and forbidden knowledge that coalesced into the text we know today. Prepare to have the mysteries of its making unraveled from myth to the occult practice. To truly understand the Lesser Key of Solomon, we must first look back to the broader historical and cultural context of grimoires in medieval and Renaissance Europe. These books were far more than mere collections of spells. They were repositories of magical knowledge, often associated with forbidden practices and deemed heretical by the Church. Figures like Johannes Trithemius and Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa, though controversial, contributed to the discourse surrounding magic and the supernatural, their works reflecting a society grappling with the boundaries between the divine, the demonic, and the natural world. Belief in magic, demons, and the power of the supernatural was pervasive. These weren't fringe ideas. They were deeply embedded in the worldview of the time. The creation and dissemination of grimoires reflected a society captivated by the unseen forces believed to govern their lives, making the Lesser Key a product of its time. The Lesser Key is intimately tied to the tradition of Solomonic magic, which finds its roots in Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, and other esoteric traditions. King Solomon, the biblical figure celebrated for his wisdom, was also believed to be a master magician, capable of commanding spirits and wielding supernatural powers. This image of Solomon as a powerful conjurer heavily influenced later grimoires, with authors attributing their works to him to lend them authority and prestige. The Seal of Solomon, a powerful symbol often depicted as a six-pointed star, became a central emblem in Solomonic magic, believed to grant protection and control over spirits. Echoes of these beliefs can be found throughout the Middle East, further solidifying the cross-cultural significance of Solomon as a figure of magical prowess. The presence and acceptance of demonology during this era is crucial to understanding the lesser key. Demons were not simply abstract concepts of evil. They were believed to be real entities with distinct personalities, powers, and domains. Across various cultures, demons held different roles. In Mesopotamia, they were seen as disease bringers. In Jewish folklore, they were mischievous spirits. And in Christian demonology, they were agents of the devil, tempting humans and causing spiritual corruption. Common beliefs attributed to them the power to influence human affairs, cause illness, and possess individuals. This widespread belief in demons created a fertile ground for grimoires like the Lesser Key, which offered a means to not only understand, but also control these entities. So what exactly is the Lesser Key of Solomon? Officially titled Lemegeton Clavicula Salomonis, it is not a single, unified text, but rather a collection of 5 distinct grimoires, each with its own focus and purpose. First, there's the Ars Goetia, the most well-known and influential part, detailing the evocation of 72 demons. The Ars Theurgia Goetia focuses on the evocation of aerial spirits, while the Ars Paulina describes the evocation of angels associated with the hours of the day and night. The Ars Olmedal provides instructions for creating a wax tablet used for divination. And finally, the Ars Notoria promises to improve memory and learning through the recitation of prayers and orations. These 5 books together form the complete Lesser Key, each offering a different facet of magical practice. The Ars Goetia, being the most famous, deserves special attention. It meticulously lists the 72 demons in hierarchical order, each possessing a distinct rank, such as king, duke, or president. Each demon is further described by their unique attributes and seals, also known as sigils. The Ars Goetia details the demons' specific powers and abilities, ranging from granting knowledge and wisdom to controlling natural forces and manipulating human emotions. This detailed catalogue of demons, combined with instructions for their evocation, has made the Ars Goetia a cornerstone of demonology. But what makes these demons unique, and what are they capable of? Central to the Ars Goetia are the sigils associated with each demon. These aren't arbitrary symbols. They are believed to have originated in ancient magical traditions, serving as focal points for invoking and controlling the demons. The alleged origins of these sigils are varied, with some tracing back to ancient alphabets, astrological symbols, or geometric patterns. The construction of a sigil is said to involve complex processes, often derived from the demon's name, rank, and attributes, then distilled into a visual representation believed to resonate with the demon's essence. They are more than mere drawings, but how can a simple image allegedly contain such power? Consider Pema, for example, described as a powerful king of hell, appearing as a man with a crowned face, riding a dromedary. According to the Ars Goetia, Pema possesses vast knowledge of the arts and sciences and can reveal hidden secrets to the conjurer. Conversely, there's Belial, a powerful king associated with wickedness and transgression, said to grant titles and dignities, but only through sinful means. And then there's Asmodeus, a demon of lust and destruction, often depicted with fearsome features, who knows the locations of hidden treasures and can grant wishes, though at a terrible price. These are not mere characters in a story. They are entities believed to hold immense power, with each offering a unique path to forbidden knowledge. The Ars Goetia provides textual evidence detailing the rituals and procedures for summoning these demons. Specific passages outline the necessary tools, including swords, wands, and specially prepared parchments, detailing the specific incantations to be used. One of the most important aspects of the ritual is the creation of a protective circle, inscribed with sacred symbols and names of power, designed to shield the conjurer from the demon's influence. The appropriate seals and sigils of the demon must be displayed prominently, serving as a focal point for the evocation. The conjurer's role is paramount, demanding unwavering focus, courage, and a deep understanding of the rituals. failure to follow the instructions precisely, or a lapse in concentration could have terrifying consequences, leaving the conjurer vulnerable to the demon's wrath. But are these texts just fantasy? There are alleged real-life examples of possessions and hauntings that echo the descriptions and roles of the demons in the Ars Goetia, with lesser-known cases often providing the most chilling details. Consider the case of a family in rural England who claimed to be tormented by a presence matching Belial's description, experiencing sudden financial ruin and a descent into moral decay. Or the reports of a woman in Italy who believed she was possessed by Asmodeus, exhibiting uncontrollable fits of rage and an insatiable lust. In these alleged cases, victims often turned to religious authorities or experienced occultists for help, employing exorcisms, protective amulets, and counter-rituals to resolve the situations, with varying degrees of success. While skepticism is warranted, the commonality between these accounts and the roles of the demons in the Ars Goetia cannot be ignored. What are we to make of these demons and their powers? One way to interpret them is as representations of human desires, fears, and repressed aspects of the psyche. Pema, with his vast knowledge, could symbolize the insatiable thirst for knowledge. Belial, the temptation of power through wickedness, and Asmodeus, the destructive force of unchecked lust. Viewed through this lens, the summoning rituals become a form of psychological self-exploration and transformation, a dangerous journey into the darkest corners of the human mind. The demons, therefore, may not be external entities, but rather projections of our own internal conflicts and desires, brought to life through ritual and belief. But what do the demons represent? What are the ethical implications of summoning demons, even if they are merely symbolic? The dark path, as it's often called, is associated with corruption and spiritual degradation. Engaging with these forces, even in a symbolic way, carries the potential for psychological harm and the loss of control. The pursuit of power, knowledge, or forbidden desires can lead down a treacherous path, where the conjurer becomes consumed by their own ambitions, losing sight of ethical and spiritual boundaries. The idea of karma, the universal law of cause and effect, suggests that actions, even those performed within the confines of a ritual, have consequences, potentially binding the conjurer to a cycle of negativity and suffering. Is the juice worth the squeeze? It's also important to consider the historical context of these demons and the possible real-world inspirations for them. Many of the demons listed in the Ars Goetia share similarities with deities and spirits from other cultures, reflecting a syncretic blend of beliefs. For example, Astaroth, a powerful demon in the Ars Goetia, bears resemblance to the Phoenician goddess Astarte, associated with love, fertility, and war. By comparing and contrasting demons across cultures and throughout history, we can gain a deeper understanding of their origins and the evolution of demonological beliefs. Furthermore, it's believed that new demons can be created through collective belief and cultural anxieties, solidifying the fear and relevance of these entities. In essence, the Lesser Key of Solomon offers a glimpse into a world where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural blur, where demons are not simply figures of evil, but complex entities embodying human desires and fears. The grimoire is not for the faint of heart, as wielding it can be dangerous. This now leads us to the practical methods and techniques used in demon summoning rituals, methods that are believed to be fraught with peril. The potential risks involved are not merely physical, but also psychological and spiritual, as those who seek to control these forces may find themselves consumed by them. Prepare yourself, because what we'll uncover next is even more shocking. Is it possible that these ancient practices still hold power today, or are they merely relics of a bygone era? The dark path continues to tempt those seeking forbidden knowledge, promising power and enlightenment, but at what cost? As we move forward, consider that what you may not know could hurt you the most. Of course, many dismiss the Lesser Key of Solomon and demon summoning as mere superstition, fantasy, or psychological projection. They argue that there is no scientific evidence to support the existence of demons or the efficacy of summoning rituals. Skeptics point to the lack of verifiable proof and suggest that the experiences reported by those who claim to have summoned demons can be attributed to altered states of consciousness, psychological suggestion, or even outright fraud. So are the stories that we've mentioned just stories? A different interpretation suggests that the demons are symbolic constructs rather than literal entities, representing aspects of the human psyche or forces within the natural world. It's possible that summoning rituals are a form of self-deception or psychological manipulation, where individuals project their own desires, fears, and anxieties onto these symbolic figures. This perspective acknowledges that these demons may not exist outside the psyche of the conjurer, and that the power lies within the individual's mind rather than in any external entity. Are they real or not? Despite the counterarguments, the enduring influence of the Lesser Key of Solomon on Western occultism and popular culture is undeniable. The grimoire has left an indelible mark on the practice of magic, inspiring countless books, films, and works of art. Whether viewed as a literal guide to demon summoning or as a symbolic representation of the human psyche, the Lesser Key continues to fascinate and intrigue, offering a glimpse into the darker aspects of human experience. While the debate continues, the human experience is expanded. The practice and Lesser Key serve as a warning of the potential dangers that arise when desires and ambitions surpass understanding of ethical and spiritual boundaries. As we reflect on the historical origins, contents, and practices associated with the Lesser Key of Solomon, remember that there is always more than meets the eye. What we are about to explore regarding the details of summoning demons and those alleged dangers may not be fully understood. As we venture further into the shadowy world of the Lesser Key of Solomon, we arrive at its practical core, the methods and techniques used in demon summoning rituals. The Ars Goetia, the most infamous section of the Lesser Key, unveils these methods in chilling detail, promising power and knowledge to those brave, or perhaps foolish, enough to attempt them. But make no mistake, these are not mere parlor tricks. They are complex, demanding, and potentially dangerous practices. What exactly is involved in summoning a demon, and what makes these rituals so feared? At the heart of a typical Godic summoning ritual lies a series of carefully orchestrated stages, each crucial for success or failure. The first step involves creating a consecrated space, typically a circle inscribed with names of power and protective symbols. This circle acts as a barrier, shielding the magician from the demon's influence and containing its energy. The construction of this circle is not arbitrary. Every symbol, every word must be precise, as an error could leave the magician vulnerable. The magician must then undergo rigorous preparation, including purification rituals such as bathing and fasting. This is followed by prayer, intended to strengthen their connection to the divine and fortify their will. Tools such as a wand, sword, cup, and pentacle are also essential, each imbued with symbolic significance, representing the magician's power, authority, and ability to control the forces they seek to command. But how are these tools actually wielded? Communication with the demons is achieved through a combination of incantations, prayers, and the strategic use of sigils. The incantations are not mere words. They are carefully constructed phrases, often in ancient languages, believed to resonate with the demon's essence. They invoke specific names of power and divine authority, compelling the demon to appear and obey. The structure and purpose of these incantations are complex, often utilizing rhythmic repetition and specific tonal qualities to induce a trance-like state in the magician, facilitating contact with the spirit world. The sigil, a visual representation of the demon's name and attributes, serves as a focal point for the summoning, acting as a beacon to draw the demon's attention and a means of controlling its manifestation. Different techniques are employed to establish contact, ranging from scrying, where the magician gazes into a crystal ball or mirror, to direct invocation, where the magician speaks directly to the demon, commanding it to appear. But what are these demons, and why are they compelled to answer? The demons of the Ars Gotia are not a homogeneous mass. They possess distinct ranks, functions, and levels of power. Some are kings, ruling over vast legions of lesser spirits, while others are dukes, presidents, or earls, each with their own specific domains and abilities. This hierarchy impacts the influence a demon can exert, and correspondingly, the risks involved in summoning them. A low-ranking demon might be relatively easy to control, but its powers may be limited. A high-ranking demon, on the other hand, possesses immense power, but commanding it requires exceptional skill and carries a far greater risk of losing control. Summoning a king without proper preparation and protection could have catastrophic consequences, potentially leading to demonic possession or spiritual corruption. What are these risks, and are they worth the potential reward? Let's take a closer look at some of the specific tools used in Godic rituals and their construction, beginning with the wand. Typically made of wood from an elder tree, the wand is not simply a stick. It is a conduit for the magician's will. It must be consecrated with specific prayers and rituals and inscribed with symbols of power, such as planetary signs and divine names. The circle, as mentioned earlier, is a critical component, acting as a protective barrier. It is usually drawn on the floor with chalk or painted with consecrated oil, and inscribed with the names of God, angels, and other protective entities. The magician's robes, often black or white, are also carefully prepared, embroidered with sigils and symbols that resonate with the magician's intent. These robes serve not only as ceremonial garments, but also as a form of psychological armor, reinforcing the magician's authority and protecting them from negative energies. Are these symbols actually useful? The Ars Gotia is filled with examples of incantations and rituals designed to compel the demons. One passage details the conjuration of the demon Astaroth, a powerful duke of hell. In the name of the Almighty God, I command thee, Astaroth, that thou appear before me in fair human form, without any deformity or terror, to answer truly and faithfully unto those things which I shall demand of thee. This conjuration is followed by curses and commands designed to force the demon to obey. If thou refusest to come, I will constrain thee by the power of the name Tetragrammaton, and by the dreadful judgment of the great God. The ritual then proceeds with specific questions and demands, requiring the magician to maintain unwavering focus and authority. The final step involves dismissing the demon with a formal license, thanking it for its service, and commanding it to depart peacefully, lest it seek revenge. How can mere words hold power over an entity that is allegedly beyond human comprehension? History is replete with alleged accounts of demon summoning rituals, filled with both promise and peril. One account tells the story of a 17th-century grimoire scholar who sought to summon the demon Belial, hoping to gain wealth and power. After performing the rituals described in the Ars Gotia, the scholar claimed that Belial appeared before him, offering him riches in exchange for his soul. The scholar, blinded by greed, accepted the offer, and for a time, enjoyed immense wealth and influence. However, his newfound prosperity came at a terrible price, as he soon found himself plagued by nightmares, paranoia, and a growing sense of dread. Eventually, he lost his mind and died in poverty, his sole forfeit to the demon he had sought to control. Conversely, reports exist of rituals gone awry and the unprepared magician falling victim to the powers they sought to control. What do these stories teach us? These tools, rituals, and incantations can be interpreted as symbolic representations of the magician's will, power, and control. The wand, for example, represents the magician's ability to direct their will and focus their energy. The circle symbolizes the boundaries of the magician's psyche, protecting them from external influences and containing the forces they seek to command. The incantations act as a form of psychological programming, altering the magician's state of consciousness and reinforcing their belief in their own power. Viewed through this lens, demon summoning becomes a form of psychological drama, where the magician confronts and integrates their shadow self, the repressed aspects of their personality that they fear and reject. But how much power does the magician really have? However, it is crucial to acknowledge the potential dangers and risks involved in demon summoning, both psychological and spiritual. The idea of demonic possession, where the magician loses control and becomes influenced or even controlled by the summoned entity, is a real concern. Even if the demons are merely symbolic representations of psychological forces, the act of engaging with these forces can be destabilizing and lead to psychological harm. Paranoia, delusion, and mental breakdown are all potential consequences of dabbling in these practices without proper training and guidance. The ethical implications of manipulating and controlling these forces must also be considered. Is it right to attempt to control another being, even if that being is a demon? And what are the potential consequences of such actions? What if the demons of the Ars Goetia are not external entities at all, but rather archetypes or symbolic representations of different aspects of the human psyche? Perhaps Pema represents the pursuit of knowledge, Asmodeus embodies lust and desire, and Belial signifies rebellion and the will to power. From a psychological perspective, summoning these demons could be seen as a process of confronting and integrating these aspects of the self, bringing them into conscious awareness and learning to manage their influence. This interpretation aligns with Jungian psychology, which emphasizes the importance of integrating the shadow self, the unconscious aspects of the personality that contain both negative and positive qualities. If these entities are internal, does the danger still persist? But here's where things get interesting. What if belief itself is the key? From the perspective of chaos magic, belief is a tool to shape reality. If a magician believes in the power of a ritual, that belief can create a real effect, regardless of whether demons actually exist. This doesn't align with traditional demonolatry, which posits that demons are real, independent entities. Instead, it suggests that the magician's belief acts as a lens, focusing their will and energy to manifest a desired outcome. This challenges the traditional view of demon summoning and offers a new perspective on the nature of magic and reality. Does belief create demons? Despite these alternative interpretations, the enduring fascination with demon summoning speaks to its psychological and cultural significance. Even if demons are not literal entities, they serve as powerful symbols of our fears, desires, and repressed aspects of the self. The rituals, whether viewed as genuine attempts to contact spirits or as psychological dramas, offer a means of exploring the darker corners of the human psyche and confronting the forces that shape our lives. Psychological interpretations of demons can vary greatly, but the underlying theme of self-discovery and transformation remains constant. What remains for certain is, to this day, it is still practiced. Ultimately, the practice and the lesser key serve as a warning of the potential dangers that arise when desires and ambitions surpass understanding of ethical and spiritual boundaries. Demon summoning, whether viewed as a literal or symbolic practice, can be a perilous path, leading to psychological harm, spiritual corruption, or even demonic possession. Approaching these practices with caution, respect, and a critical mindset is essential for navigating the dark path safely and avoiding the pitfalls that await those who seek forbidden knowledge and power without proper preparation and guidance. What dangers truly await? As we've explored the practical methods and techniques used in demon summoning rituals, one thing becomes clear. The Ars Goetia is not a book to be taken lightly. Wielding this grimoire demands not only skill and knowledge, but also a deep understanding of the forces at play and the potential consequences of one's actions. This leads us to a deeper question: what is the true allure of the dark path? What motivates individuals to seek forbidden knowledge and power, even at the risk of their own souls? What we'll uncover next is even more shocking. Is it about achieving personal power, gaining forbidden knowledge, or something else entirely? Perhaps the answers lie in the depths of the human psyche. What truly motivates an individual to traverse the perilous path of demon summoning, a path fraught with both promise and peril? Is it about achieving personal power, gaining forbidden knowledge, or something else entirely? To truly understand this shadowy pursuit, we must delve into the complex web of motivations that drive individuals to seek forbidden knowledge and demonic power, a path where control, knowledge, and transformation intertwine with potentially devastating consequences. Throughout history, certain figures have become synonymous with the pursuit of forbidden knowledge, their stories serving as cautionary tales or aspirational legends, depending on one's perspective. Consider the tale of Faust, the archetypal scholar who, dissatisfied with earthly knowledge, made a pact with Mephistopheles, a demon, to gain access to ultimate wisdom and power. Faust's insatiable thirst for knowledge led him down a dark path, ultimately costing him his soul. Then there's Gilles de Rais, a 15th-century French nobleman and military leader who, after serving as Joan of Arc's bodyguard, descended into unspeakable depravity, allegedly engaging in torture, murder, and demonic rituals in a twisted attempt to attain power and immortality. Unlike Faust, whose ambition was primarily intellectual, Gilles de Rais sought power through the most heinous of acts, demonstrating the corrupting influence of unchecked desires. Let us not forget Aleister Crowley, the infamous 20th-century occultist who embraced the philosophy of the lemma, advocating for the pursuit of individual will and the transgression of societal norms. Crowley sought to liberate himself from all constraints, believing that through occult practices, including demon summoning, he could achieve a higher state of being. How did the historical context shape these individuals' beliefs? In the context of demon summoning, the dark path represents a deliberate choice to engage with forces traditionally considered malevolent or dangerous. This path often involves the transgression of moral and ethical boundaries, the rejection of conventional religious beliefs, and the active pursuit of forbidden knowledge and power through demonic pacts or rituals. The philosophical underpinnings of this path often involve a rejection of traditional morality, a belief in the inherent power of the individual, and a desire to transcend limitations through any means necessary. However, this path is not without its risks. The potential for corruption, spiritual degradation, and the loss of control are ever-present dangers, as the practitioner delves deeper into the infernal realms. Is the dark path always a path to enlightenment? What, then, are the specific motivations that drive individuals down this dark path? For some, it's the allure of power, the desire to control others, manipulate events, or achieve worldly success through demonic pacts. Accounts exist of individuals seeking to gain influence over political leaders, amass vast fortunes, or exact revenge on their enemies through the assistance of demonic entities. Others are drawn to the forbidden knowledge, seeking to unlock hidden secrets, gain occult wisdom, or understand the mysteries of the universe through demonic entities. These individuals may seek to decipher ancient texts, uncover lost civilizations, or attain a deeper understanding of the spiritual realms. Still others are motivated by a desire for personal transformation, seeking to transcend their limitations, achieve immortality, or attain a higher state of being through demonic empowerment. These individuals may view demons as allies or guides, capable of unlocking their hidden potential and leading them to enlightenment. Consider the case of a modern practitioner known only as Marcus, who claimed to have spent years studying the Ars Goetia and engaging in demon summoning rituals. Marcus stated that his initial motivation was to gain wealth and success, but over time, his focus shifted to personal transformation and spiritual growth. He believed that by confronting and integrating the demonic forces within himself, he could achieve a higher state of consciousness. But can demonic pacts be a path to spiritual enlightenment? Analyzing these motivations through a psychological lens reveals a complex interplay of desires, fears, and repressed aspects of the psyche. The idea that demons represent repressed aspects of the psyche or archetypal forces within the unconscious mind is a recurring theme in psychological interpretations of demonology. Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist, posited that the shadow self contains the aspects of our personality that we fear and reject, and that integrating this shadow is essential for psychological wholeness. Perhaps, then, demon summoning could be seen as a symbolic confrontation with the shadow self, a process of bringing these repressed aspects into conscious awareness and learning to manage their influence. It is also possible that psychological projection plays a significant role, where individuals project their own desires and fears onto the demonic entities they summon, imbuing them with qualities that reflect their own inner turmoil. What would Jung say about individuals who actively seek out these shadow encounters? However, it's important to acknowledge that not everyone views the dark path as inherently evil or destructive. Some practitioners believe that demons can be seen as allies, guides, or sources of hidden wisdom, capable of helping them achieve their goals and unlock their full potential. From this perspective, demon summoning is not about subjugating or controlling these entities, but rather about forming a symbiotic relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. This perspective is often found in chaos magic, a contemporary occult tradition that emphasizes the power of belief and the ability to shape reality through focused intention. Chaos magicians may view demons as sigils or symbols representing specific energies or forces, which they can manipulate to achieve desired outcomes. Individual results, of course, may vary. Despite these alternative interpretations, it is crucial to reaffirm the potential dangers and ethical considerations involved in pursuing the dark path. Reckless experimentation or the pursuit of power without proper understanding can lead to psychological harm, spiritual corruption, or even demonic possession. Critical thinking, ethical boundaries, and a deep understanding of the self are essential when engaging with these practices. Not everyone can control these demons, and the very belief in their power can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, leading to unintended and potentially harmful consequences. This can lead to a practitioner's mental state being compromised and manipulated by their beliefs. As we have explored the motivations and desires that drive individuals to seek forbidden knowledge and demonic power, one thing remains clear: the dark path is a complex and potentially dangerous pursuit. Is the potential reward worth the risk? The answer may lie in exploring the potential consequences, in understanding the true nature of the forces that these individuals seek to control, and in confronting the darkness that resides within themselves. What awaits us as we venture further into the shadows? As we delve deeper into the shadowy world of demon summoning, it's crucial to shift our focus from the motivations that drive individuals to engage in these practices to the potential consequences that may await them. While the pursuit of power, knowledge, or personal transformation can be alluring, the path of demon summoning is not without its perils. What dangers lurk in the shadows, and what price might one pay for tampering with forces beyond human comprehension? Throughout history, countless tales have emerged of individuals and groups who allegedly suffered negative consequences as a result of engaging in demon summoning or other forbidden practices. Consider the infamous case of Urbain Grandier, a 17th-century French priest who was accused of bewitching the nuns of Loudun, leading to a series of bizarre and disturbing possessions. While the true nature of the Loudun possessions remains a subject of debate, the tragic fate of Grandier, who was ultimately burned at the stake after a politically charged trial, serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of dabbling in the occult. Was Grandier truly guilty of demonic pacts, or was he a victim of religious and political intrigue? Then there's the enduring legend of Johann Georg Faust, whose pact with the demon Mephistopheles has been immortalized in literature and folklore. Faust's relentless pursuit of forbidden knowledge ultimately led to his damnation, a cautionary tale about the price of sacrificing one's soul for earthly power and wisdom. And we can't forget the countless stories of alleged witches throughout history, accused of making pacts with the devil and subjected to horrific persecution and execution. Fueled by superstition and fear, these witch hunts serve as a dark chapter in human history, highlighting the devastating consequences of societal paranoia and the dangers of unchecked religious fervor. Why have these figures throughout history been tempted to consort with demons? But what exactly are the potential consequences that await those who dare to summon demons? These consequences can manifest in a variety of ways, affecting the psychological, spiritual, physical, and social well-being of the practitioner. Psychological consequences may include paranoia, delusion, obsession, mental breakdown, and the loss of sanity, as the individual's mind becomes overwhelmed by the forces they are attempting to control. Spiritual consequences can range from demonic possession and spiritual corruption to the ultimate loss of one's soul and eternal damnation, as the practitioner becomes increasingly entangled with malevolent entities. Physical consequences may manifest as unexplained illnesses, injuries, accidents, or even death, all attributed to demonic influence. Finally, social consequences can include ostracism, isolation, damaged relationships, and societal persecution, as the individual's involvement in demon summoning becomes known to others. But are these actual consequences of communing with demons, or simply the result of heightened perception and suggestion? Concrete examples of these consequences abound in historical accounts, folklore, and modern-day claims. Consider the case of a modern practitioner who wishes to remain anonymous, who described a terrifying descent into madness after attempting to summon a particularly powerful demon. The practitioner reported experiencing intense paranoia, vivid hallucinations, and a complete loss of touch with reality, ultimately requiring hospitalization and long-term psychiatric care. This account serves as a chilling reminder of the potential psychological toll of engaging in demon summoning without proper preparation or understanding. Accounts of demonic possession, while often dismissed as superstition, continue to surface in various cultures and religious traditions. These accounts typically describe individuals exhibiting bizarre behavior, speaking in strange voices, and displaying superhuman strength, all attributed to the presence of a demonic entity within their bodies. While scientific explanations for these phenomena exist, the enduring prevalence of possession narratives suggests a deeper psychological and spiritual dimension to the human experience. Stories of unexplained illnesses, injuries, and accidents attributed to demonic influence can also be found throughout history and in contemporary accounts. These cases often involve individuals who have engaged in demon summoning or other occult practices and subsequently experience a series of unfortunate events, leading them to believe that they have been cursed or targeted by malevolent forces. Is it possible these events are random or part of a larger plot? The ostracism and persecution faced by individuals accused of witchcraft or demon summoning throughout history serve as a stark reminder of the social consequences of engaging in forbidden practices. Even in modern times, individuals who openly identify as demon summoners or practitioners of the occult may face discrimination, social isolation, and damaged relationships. In many of these alleged real-life examples of possessions and hauntings, common threads emerge. Victims often report a gradual increase in unsettling phenomena, starting with minor disturbances and escalating to more terrifying events. They often turn to religious figures, spiritual healers, or mental health professionals for help, seeking to exorcise the demonic presence or regain control of their minds. The success of these interventions varies widely, with some individuals claiming to have been completely healed, while others continue to struggle with the lingering effects of their experiences. What is the best course of action to take? The incantations and rituals used in demon summoning are not without their own inherent dangers. Even seemingly minor errors in pronunciation, gesture, or timing can have unintended consequences, potentially opening doors to unwanted entities or unleashing forces that are difficult to control. The intent of the practitioner is also of paramount importance. Summoning a demon with malicious intent can have far-reaching and devastating consequences, not only for the target of the practitioner's malice, but also for the practitioner themselves. To avoid these consequences, practitioners often emphasize the importance of careful preparation, rigorous study, and adherence to strict ethical guidelines. But can ethical guidelines truly protect you from the unknown? Analyzing these consequences through a broader lens, we can see that they may be interpreted in a variety of ways. Some believe that these consequences are punishments for violating natural or divine laws, a cosmic retribution for tampering with forces that are beyond human comprehension. Others argue that the consequences are self-inflicted, resulting from psychological imbalance, delusional thinking, or the power of suggestion. Still others point to the potential for confirmation bias, where individuals interpret negative events as evidence of demonic influence, even when other explanations are more plausible. Could it be that all these proposed explanations have elements of truth within them? Are demons external entities, or are they manifestations of our own inner demons? However, it's important to acknowledge that not everyone experiences negative consequences as a result of engaging in demon summoning or other forbidden practices. Some practitioners claim to have achieved power, knowledge, or transformation without suffering any negative repercussions, viewing demons as allies, guides, or sources of hidden wisdom. These individuals often emphasize the importance of respect, caution, and a deep understanding of the forces they are working with. Perhaps some individuals are naturally more resistant to negative influences or better equipped to handle the energies involved. Is it possible to objectively define success in demon summoning? Despite these counterarguments, it is crucial to reaffirm the potential dangers and ethical considerations associated with demon summoning and the pursuit of forbidden knowledge. Approaching these practices with caution, respect, and a critical mindset is essential, as is maintaining ethical boundaries, cultivating self-awareness, and developing a deep understanding of the potential risks involved. Those who seek out these practices should do so with a clear and rational mindset. In summary, the potential consequences of demon summoning are varied and complex, ranging from psychological distress and spiritual corruption to physical harm and social isolation. While some practitioners claim to have achieved positive results without experiencing negative repercussions, the potential dangers of engaging in these practices should not be underestimated. What truly awaits those who tread this dark path? Having explored the potential consequences and ethical considerations of demon summoning, a crucial question remains: are there ways to mitigate or avoid these negative outcomes? Are there specific protection methods, banishment rituals, or ethical guidelines that can help practitioners navigate the infernal realms without falling prey to the dangers that lurk within? The answers may lie in exploring ancient knowledge and occult practices, but what secrets do these practices hold, and can they truly offer protection from the forces they seek to control? Having explored the potential consequences that await those who dabble in demon summoning, a critical question now arises. Are there means to mitigate or evade these perilous outcomes? Can practitioners navigate the infernal realms shielded by specific protection methods, banishment rituals, or ethical frameworks without succumbing to the lurking dangers? Let's delve into the world of protection and explore how these countermeasures are employed against the very forces they seek to engage. In nearly every culture across the globe, the concept of protection against malevolent forces has taken root in some form. In ancient Egypt, amulets crafted from precious stones and metals were worn to deflect negative energies and invoke the blessings of protective deities like Bes, the dwarf god known for warding off evil spirits. What is it about human nature that drives us to create these alleged protections? Across various pantheons, we also find deities whose primary role is to safeguard humanity from harm. The archangels in Abrahamic religions, such as Michael and Gabriel, serve as divine warriors, battling demonic forces and offering protection to those who call upon them. In shamanic traditions, guardian spirits are sought for guidance and protection, acting as intermediaries between the human and spirit realms, providing a shield against malevolent entities. Ritual cleansing practices, from smudging with sage to the performance of elaborate purification ceremonies, are also commonplace across cultures, serving to banish negative energies and restore balance. How have cultures managed to create similar solutions and beliefs when separated by thousands of miles? Symbols and sigils have long been imbued with protective properties. The Eye of Horus in ancient Egypt, the Celtic knot in ancient Europe, and various mandalas used in Eastern traditions, and the countless other forms all function as visual representations of protective energies, warding off evil and inviting blessings. These protection methods did not simply spring into existence. The pentagram, a five-pointed star, has been used for millennia as a symbol of protection, its origins tracing back to ancient Mesopotamia and Greece. In medieval times, it was associated with the 5 wounds of Christ and used as a powerful ward against evil. But how did the pentagram gain such widespread use as a symbol of protection? The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, LBRP, a cornerstone of Western occultism, evolved from the teachings of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in the late 19th century. This ritual employs the power of visualization, invocation, and banishing gestures to purify one's environment and create a protective sphere. But is a visualization truly capable of providing real protection? Protective prayers and incantations have also evolved across different religious traditions, often invoking the names of deities or sacred symbols to create a shield against negative forces. These prayers are not static. They have been adapted and reinterpreted over time, reflecting changing cultural beliefs and spiritual practices. Protection methods, while diverse in their expression, can be broadly categorized. Divine protection involves invoking the aid of deities, angels, or other benevolent spiritual beings through prayer, ritual, or supplication. This approach relies on the belief that these higher powers can intercede on behalf of the practitioner, offering a shield against malevolent forces. Ritual cleansing employs specific rituals, incantations, or offerings to purify oneself or one's environment, banishing negative energies and restoring balance. This may involve the use of sacred herbs, oils, water, or other cleansing agents. Sigils and symbols harness the power of visual representation to ward off negative energies or entities. These symbols are often imbued with specific meanings and activated through ritual or meditation. Mental fortitude emphasizes the development of inner strength, focus, and clarity to resist negative influences. This involves cultivating a resilient mindset, managing fear and anxiety, and maintaining a strong sense of self. Are these methods truly separate, or do they rely on the same underlying principles? The underlying principles and mechanisms of these protection methods are complex and multifaceted. Belief and intention play a crucial role in shaping the effectiveness of protection. The stronger one's belief in the power of the method, the more effective it is likely to be. Belief acts as a catalyst, activating the latent energies and focusing them towards the desired outcome. Energy manipulation is another key principle, with practitioners believing that they can harness and direct subtle energies to create protective barriers. This may involve visualizing a shield of light surrounding oneself, channeling energy through specific gestures, or drawing upon the power of sacred symbols. But is energy manipulation a real phenomenon, or is it a product of the mind? Engaging in protective practices can have profound psychological effects, providing a sense of control, reducing fear and anxiety, and bolstering one's overall sense of well-being. These psychological benefits can, in turn, enhance one's ability to resist negative influences. Concrete examples abound for each type of protection method. To invoke divine aid, one might recite specific prayers or perform rituals dedicated to protective deities. For instance, in Christianity, the prayer to Saint Michael the Archangel is a powerful invocation for protection against evil. Ritual cleansing can involve performing a salt bath, smudging with sage, or using other cleansing agents to purify oneself or one's environment. The specific steps involved in these practices vary depending on cultural and spiritual traditions. How have modern demonologists adapted these traditional rituals? Protective sigils can be activated through visualization, chanting, or inscribing them on objects or surfaces. For example, the sigil of the Archangel Michael is often used to invoke his protection and ward off negative energies. Techniques for developing mental fortitude include meditation, visualization, and affirmations. Regular practice of these techniques can help cultivate inner strength, focus, and clarity, making one more resilient to negative influences. What is the most effective means of developing this mental fortitude? Throughout history, there have been countless cases where protection methods allegedly proved effective in warding off negative entities or energies. While such accounts are often anecdotal, they offer intriguing insights into the perceived power of these practices. Some individuals claim to have successfully repelled demonic attacks or hauntings by invoking divine aid, performing banishment rituals, or employing protective sigils. Combining multiple protection methods is often considered more effective than relying on a single approach. For example, a practitioner might combine prayer with ritual cleansing and the use of protective sigils to create a comprehensive shield against negative forces. But can these methods truly work in tandem, or are they simply overlapping expressions of the same underlying principle? The effectiveness and significance of these protection methods are complex and multifaceted. The role of belief and suggestion cannot be underestimated, as the perception of protection is often shaped by one's expectations and mindset. Engaging in protective practices can provide a sense of control in situations where one might otherwise feel powerless. This sense of control can, in turn, reduce fear and anxiety, enhancing one's overall sense of well-being. The cultural and historical context also plays a crucial role, as protection methods are often deeply embedded in specific belief systems and traditions. How much of this apparent effectiveness is just down to placebo effect? Different interpretations exist regarding how these methods work. Some believe that they are primarily psychological tools for managing fear and anxiety, providing a sense of control and reducing the impact of negative thoughts and emotions. Others view them as genuine spiritual practices that engage with external forces, invoking the aid of benevolent entities or manipulating subtle energies. Still others propose that they work through a combination of both psychological and spiritual mechanisms, leveraging the power of belief and intention to influence both the inner and outer realms. But what if there are external forces capable of being influenced by these rituals? However, it's important to acknowledge the limitations and potential drawbacks of protection methods. Some methods may be ineffective against certain types of entities or energies, requiring practitioners to adapt their approach based on the specific threat they face. There is also the potential for false security, where individuals rely solely on external protection without cultivating inner strength or developing a critical mindset. Protection is ultimately only as strong as the individual's will and intent. What truly protects us at our core, personal responsibility and ethical considerations, are paramount when engaging with potentially dangerous forces. Respectful interaction with entities is essential, even those considered malevolent. Demon summoning, even with protective measures, should never be undertaken lightly. The potential for unintended consequences exists if protection methods are misused or misapplied, potentially creating more harm than good. Ethical implications must be carefully considered, as the pursuit of power or knowledge should never come at the expense of others. How easily could an amateur witch misinterpret ancient texts? Despite these counterarguments, protection remains crucial when engaging with potentially dangerous forces. Synthesizing the information, we see that different methods offer varying degrees of protection, depending on the individual's beliefs, intentions, and the specific circumstances. A balanced and critical approach is essential, combining internal fortitude with external safeguards. A reliance on just prayer may not work against some of the most powerful demons. Reiterating the importance of personal responsibility, ethical boundaries, and a deep understanding of the self, it becomes clear that these elements are integral to any effective protection strategy. Critical thinking is essential for evaluating the validity and effectiveness of different methods. The potential risks involved in demon summoning should never be underestimated, and a healthy dose of skepticism is always warranted. What truly sets apart a successful ritual from a dangerous one? These methods can provide a sense of empowerment, transforming one from a passive victim into an active agent. Proper use of these methods serves as a way to avoid corruption, maintaining one's integrity and preventing the abuse of power. A path that is still cautious, but less dangerous than running in blind faith. Do all alleged protection methods stem from the same source? Having explored the various protection methods and their use in mitigating the negative consequences of demon summoning, let's not forget their potential benefits and limitations. However, what happens if these protection methods fail? What recourse does a practitioner have when faced with a demonic force that proves too powerful or cunning to be contained by conventional means? This leads us to a discussion of banishment rituals, the alleged fail-safe mechanisms designed to sever ties with unwanted entities and restore balance. But what if these rituals are not performed correctly, or if they fail to achieve their intended purpose? What consequences might await those who find themselves trapped in a battle they cannot win? Having explored various protection methods, let's consider a stark reality. What happens when these shields crumble, when the invoked forces prove too strong, or the rituals themselves falter? This brings us to the critical, often feared, practice of banishment, the failsafe designed to sever unwanted connections and restore equilibrium. While protection aims to prevent intrusion, banishment is the forceful expulsion of what has already breached the threshold, a desperate measure with potentially dire consequences if mishandled. Throughout history, cultures across the globe have developed intricate banishment rituals, each reflecting unique spiritual beliefs and cosmological understandings. In Christianity, exorcism stands as a potent example, where ordained priests invoke the power of God and various saints to cast out demons believed to possess individuals. These rites, often involving the recitation of specific prayers, the use of holy water, and the laying on of hands, are intended to purify the afflicted and return them to divine grace. But how did the Catholic Church determine these rituals, and how did they evolve? In Wicca and other pagan traditions, banishing spells are employed to clear spaces of negative energies or unwanted entities, often utilizing elements like fire, water, earth, and air, combined with focused intention and spoken incantations. These spells aim to create a protective barrier, ensuring that only positive influences remain. How do these elements combine to banish an entity? Shamanic cultures, deeply intertwined with the spirit world, incorporate banishment rituals to restore balance and harmony when disruptions occur. Shamans may journey to other realms, confront malevolent spirits, and negotiate their departure, often using drumming, chanting, and symbolic objects to facilitate the process. Do all of these rituals use similar principles, or are they just different approaches to the same outcome? The origins of specific banishment techniques are shrouded in antiquity, evolving through centuries of practice and refinement. Bells, with their resonant tones, have long been used to drive away negative energies, their vibrations believed to disrupt the presence of unwanted entities. Incense, with its fragrant smoke, serves as a purifying agent, cleansing the air and creating a sacred atmosphere conducive to banishment. Specific banishment prayers, passed down through generations, invoke divine power to expel malevolent forces, drawing upon the authority of deities and spiritual guardians. For example, the prayer of Saint Michael is still used to this day. But how did these historical contexts influence the specific prayers and tools used? Banishment rituals, regardless of their cultural context, share a common structure, a formal and structured process designed to achieve a specific outcome. Preparation is paramount, often involving purification rituals, fasting, and prayer to strengthen the practitioner's spiritual resolve and create a clear channel for divine energy. Invocation involves calling upon deities or other benevolent forces for assistance, seeking their protection and guidance in the banishment process. Confrontation entails directly addressing the unwanted entity, asserting one's will and demanding its departure, often using specific words of power or gestures of authority. Expulsion involves performing specific actions or incantations to force the entity to depart, such as casting it out with a symbolic weapon or sealing it within a container. Dismissal involves formally releasing the invoked forces and sealing the ritual space, ensuring that the banished entity cannot return. But what if the entity is stronger than the deity? Banishment rituals can be broadly categorized into two types, permanent and temporary. Permanent banishment aims to completely and irrevocably expel an entity from a location, preventing its return. This type of ritual is typically reserved for particularly malevolent or persistent entities that pose a significant threat. Temporary banishment, on the other hand, seeks to temporarily suppress or contain an entity, limiting its influence or preventing it from causing harm. This approach may be used when dealing with entities that are not inherently malevolent or when a more permanent solution is not feasible. But what criteria determines the type of banishment a situation requires? The symbolism embedded within each step of a banishment ritual carries significant weight, amplifying its intended effect. Purification rituals symbolize the cleansing of oneself and one's environment, removing any negative influences that might hinder the banishment process. Invocation symbolizes the calling upon divine power, enlisting the aid of benevolent forces to overcome malevolent entities. Confrontation symbolizes the assertion of one's will and authority, demonstrating that one is not afraid to stand up to the unwanted entity. Expulsion symbolizes the forceful removal of the entity, severing its connection to the ritual space and preventing its return. Dismissal symbolizes the closing of the ritual, ensuring that no residual energies remain and that the banished entity cannot re-enter. Are these intentions enough to actually perform the ritual? Concrete examples of banishment rituals abound in various magical traditions. The lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, LBRP, a cornerstone of the Golden Dawn tradition, employs visualization, invocation, and banishing gestures to purify one's environment and create a protective sphere. The Bornless ritual, also from the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, invokes powerful divine forces to command and control unwanted entities. Exorcism rites used by the Catholic Church involve specific prayers, blessings, and the use of holy objects to expel demons from possessed individuals. But how did these diverse rituals come to have such similar methods and goals? The incantations and actions involved in specific banishment rituals are carefully designed to achieve the desired effect. In the LBRP, the practitioner visualizes a circle of light surrounding them and invokes the names of archangels to guard the four cardinal directions, reciting phrases such as "Before me, Raphael; behind me, Gabriel; on my right hand, Michael; on my left hand, Oriel. For about me flames the pentagram, and in the column stands the six-rayed star." During Catholic exorcism rites, the The priest recites prayers such as the Exorcismo Te Spiritus Imund, commanding the demon to depart in the name of God. The actions to be taken during the ritual are equally important, such as making specific gestures, using symbolic objects, and maintaining a focused intention. What makes these words and gestures so effective at banishing entities? These rituals can be altered or adjusted to suit individual needs or specific circumstances. Other cultural rituals may be added to enhance the banishment process, incorporating elements from different spiritual traditions. The key is to maintain consistency in the core components of the ritual, ensuring that the intention and symbolism remain clear. But are these rituals interchangeable, or is there a specific purpose to each one? Throughout history, there have been alleged instances where banishment rituals proved effective in removing unwanted entities. Accounts of hauntings ceasing after a banishment ritual are common, with residents reporting a sense of peace and tranquility returning to their homes. Some individuals claim to have successfully repelled demonic attacks by performing banishment rituals, invoking divine aid, or employing protective sigils. While such accounts are anecdotal, they offer intriguing insights into the perceived power of these practices. Are these accounts enough to prove the effectiveness of the rituals? The effectiveness and significance of banishment rituals are multifaceted and subject to various interpretations. The rituals may provide a psychological sense of control over the situation, empowering individuals to confront their fears and take action against perceived threats. It has also been argued that the rituals may simply be a form of self-hypnosis or psychological manipulation, leveraging the power of suggestion and belief to alter one's perception of reality. Regardless, their cultural and societal implications are undeniable. But does the ritual's effectiveness rely on the person? There are different interpretations of the mechanisms involved in banishment rituals. From a spiritual perspective, these rituals are seen as a genuine interaction with spiritual entities, invoking divine power to expel malevolent forces. From a psychological perspective, they are viewed as tools for managing fear and anxiety, changing one's mindset, and creating a sense of control. A hybrid perspective suggests that the rituals work through a combination of both psychological and spiritual mechanisms, leveraging the power of belief and intention to influence both the inner and outer realms. So is it faith that drives the ritual? The role of belief is crucial in the effectiveness of banishment rituals. The practitioner needs to believe in the power of the ritual and the forces they are invoking for it to work. If belief is required, the rituals can be adapted to suit a new belief system, incorporating symbols, deities, and incantations that resonate with the practitioner's personal faith. But can any belief be adapted to these rituals? However, it's important to acknowledge the limitations and potential risks of banishment rituals. Some entities cannot be banished, or attempts to banish them may backfire, leading to more severe consequences. There is also the potential for unintended consequences, such as disturbing other entities or creating unforeseen imbalances. Banishment is not always a permanent solution, and the entity may eventually return. Ethical considerations also come into play. Is it ethical to banish an entity against its will? Do entities have rights? These questions raise complex moral dilemmas that practitioners must grapple with when considering banishment rituals. While most see demons as inherently evil, shouldn't they have a right to exist? The role of chaos magic further complicates the matter. Chaos magic suggests that belief creates reality, and that intent is the driving force behind magical change. The impact of intent can be both positive and negative, depending on the practitioner's motivations and the specific circumstances. If banishing an entity does harm, is it still the right course of action? Perhaps the most frightening question is, what happens when the ritual fails? The dangers of improperly performed rituals are significant, potentially angering the entity, weakening one's defenses, or creating openings for other malevolent forces to enter. The risks associated with angering the entity include increased aggression, retaliation, or even possession? Can a demon become more powerful if angered? Despite these counterarguments, it is crucial to understand banishment rituals as a fail-safe mechanism when engaging with potentially dangerous forces. Synthesizing the information presented, we see that banishment rituals offer a means of regaining control when protection methods fail, but they are not without their limitations and risks. While they can provide a sense of empowerment, they also require personal responsibility, ethical boundaries, and a deep understanding of the self. Is it ethical to practice these rituals at all? Emphasizing the need for personal responsibility, ethical boundaries, and an understanding of the self, it becomes clear that these elements are integral to any effective banishment strategy. Caution against reckless experimentation is paramount, as the potential consequences can be severe. The importance of critical thinking is essential for evaluating the validity and effectiveness of different methods, ensuring that one is not simply relying on blind faith or superstition. Can you really know a ritual is safe? Banishment rituals can provide psychological empowerment, transforming one from a passive victim into an active agent. Reframing banishment as a last resort, it becomes a way to regain control, reassert one's will, and protect oneself from harm. Is this empowerment just an illusion? Having explored the potential benefits and limitations of banishment rituals, a chilling question remains: can all demons truly be banished? What if some entities are so deeply entrenched, so intrinsically linked to the fabric of reality, that no human ritual can sever their ties? The very existence of such beings would fundamentally alter our understanding of demonology and the power we wield against the darkness. What options, if any, remain when confronted with a force that defies banishment? Having established banishment rituals as a means of defense against unwanted entities, a disturbing possibility emerges. What if the failsafe fails? What recourse remains when the protective circle collapses, the incantations lose their power, and the invoked entity refuses to depart? Within the pages of the Lesser Key of Solomon, whispers circulate of demons so deeply entrenched in the fabric of existence that conventional banishment proves futile. What options, if any, remain when confronted with a force that defies banishment? Throughout human history, across diverse cultures and belief systems, the concept of entities that defy banishment or control has persisted. Ancient myths are rife with tales of primordial beings, chaotic gods, and cosmic forces that exist beyond the reach of mortal magic. In Norse mythology, the serpent Jormungandr, so immense that it encircles the world, embodies a force of nature that cannot be destroyed, only temporarily restrained until the coming of Ragnarok. Similarly, in Sumerian mythology, Tiamat, the primordial goddess of the sea, represents the chaotic void from which all creation arises, a force that predates and transcends the control of even the most powerful gods. These beliefs highlight humanity's ongoing struggle to comprehend and, if possible, control the unknown, acknowledging that some forces may be too fundamental, too powerful, or too deeply woven into the cosmos to be eradicated. Touching upon the idea that some entities are eternal and cannot be destroyed, only contained, reinforces the idea that humans are not always the apex controllers of reality. But what does it truly mean for a demon to be unbanishable within the specific context of the Lesser Key of Solomon? It's not necessarily a question of raw, unbridled power, but rather a matter of their fundamental nature, their intrinsic connection to cosmic currents, or their preordained role within the intricate demonic hierarchy. Some demons are believed to be so deeply interwoven with the very essence of reality that attempting to banish them would inflict irreparable harm, akin to severing a vital artery within the cosmic body. Other demons may not be external entities at all, but rather manifestations of the human psyche, deeply rooted aspects of the self that cannot be excised without causing psychological fragmentation. The idea of unbanishable demons suggests a boundary beyond human comprehension, an acknowledgement that certain forces may forever remain beyond our grasp. Within the annals of the Ars Goetia, several demons are whispered to be exceptionally difficult, if not altogether impossible, to permanently banish through conventional means. One such entity is Astaroth, a powerful Grand Duke of Hell, depicted as a handsome angel riding a dragon, bearing a viper in one hand. Astaroth is said to possess vast knowledge of the past, present, and future, and to grant humans access to hidden secrets and arcane wisdom. Allegedly, his connection to the Akashic records, the cosmic library of all knowledge, makes him difficult to dislodge, as he is intrinsically linked to the flow of information itself. Another example is Raum, a great Earl of Hell, depicted as a crow who steals treasures from kings and carries them wherever he pleases. Raum is said to be capable of inciting love between enemies and revealing hidden truths. Raum's elusiveness and ability to manipulate emotions allegedly makes him resistant to banishment, as he can sow discord and confusion among those who attempt to control him. These examples highlight the alleged nature of these entities and provide alleged reasons for their unbanishable nature. But what are the implications of these unbanishable demons for those who dare to tread the dark path of demon summoning? Do these entities represent forces that lie forever beyond human dominion, serving as a constant reminder of our limited control? Or do they offer a different kind of relationship, one based not on domination, but on understanding, respect, and perhaps even partnership? Attempting to control the uncontrollable carries immense psychological risks, potentially leading to obsession, delusion, and a dangerous disconnect from reality. But what if the true power lies not in banishing these entities, but in learning to coexist with them, to harness their energies in a way that benefits both the magician and the cosmos? However, skeptical perspectives offer a counterpoint to the notion of unbanishable demons. Many argue that all demons, regardless of their alleged power or resilience, are ultimately products of the human mind, archetypal figures projected onto the external world. The perceived difficulty in banishing certain demons, therefore, may stem not from their inherent nature, but from the magician's own limitations, their lack of skill, their wavering belief, or their unresolved psychological issues. The idea that demons are unbanishable can also create a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the magician's fear and doubt inadvertently empower the entity, making it even harder to control. Or, a simpler explanation, the practitioner just wasn't skilled enough. Despite these counterarguments, understanding the concept of unbanishable demons remains significant within the broader context of demonology. Even if these entities are not literally real, the belief in their existence holds profound implications, shaping the magician's mindset, influencing their rituals, and ultimately affecting their relationship with the unseen world. The very notion of unbanishable demons challenges our understanding of power, control, and the nature of reality, forcing us to confront the limits of human agency and the enduring mysteries of the cosmos. If some demons are accepted as unbanishable, should the magician seek a partnership with them, and what would such a partnership entail? Having grappled with the idea of unbanishable demons, entities that resist conventional methods of control, a new and potentially more perilous path emerges, the dark path. But this is not simply another method of demon summoning. It's a paradigm shift, a fundamental alteration in the practitioner's intent and relationship with these powerful beings. What if, instead of seeking to dominate and control these forces, one seeks to understand, embrace, and even become one with them? This section will delve into the methods, goals, and inherent dangers of the dark path, including the profound risks of working with entities that defy banishment, even hinting at the idea that some seek to embrace chaos rather than control it, leading to a fundamental shift in their approach to demonology. To truly grasp the essence of the dark path, it's essential to understand its historical roots and the cultural currents that shaped its emergence. The term dark path itself is relatively modern, but the underlying principles can be traced back to ancient practices of demonolatry, the worship or veneration of demons. However, this is not the traditional, fearful demonolatry of the medieval witch hunts, but a more nuanced and often rebellious approach. Figures like Aleister Crowley, with his emphasis on individual will and the exploration of forbidden knowledge, played a significant role in shaping this paradigm. These individuals saw demons not as inherently evil entities to be feared and controlled, but as powerful allies and teachers, capable of unlocking hidden potential and challenging societal norms. This approach stands in stark contrast to traditional views of demonology, which emphasize the need for strict control and adherence to religious dogma, something that often led to severe punishment when broken. So, what exactly defines the dark path as a distinct paradigm within demon summoning? Unlike more traditional forms of demonolatry, which often involve appeasement, supplication, and a hierarchical relationship with the demons, the dark path emphasizes individual empowerment, self-deification, and the relentless pursuit of forbidden knowledge. Practitioners on this path often seek to transcend the limitations of the human condition, challenging societal norms and embracing what is traditionally considered evil or taboo. This path often involves transgression, a deliberate breaking of societal and religious rules as a means of spiritual liberation. Within this framework, the demonic hierarchy is not seen as a rigid chain of command, but rather as a complex web of relationships based on respect, reciprocity, and mutual benefit. This respect is far different than fear, because they see them as allies instead of enemies. It's not about worship in the traditional sense, but rather about acknowledging the power and wisdom of these entities and seeking to learn from them. Furthermore, the concept of demon families, or groups of demons with shared attributes and goals, becomes important, as practitioners often seek to establish long-term relationships with these groups. Within the context of the dark path, specific demons take on new and often empowering roles. Lucifer, for example, is not simply seen as the embodiment of evil, but as a bringer of enlightenment and rebellion, a symbol of knowledge, freedom, and the courage to question authority. Lilith, often demonized as a seductress and child killer, becomes a symbol of female empowerment, sexual liberation, and the rejection of patriarchal norms. Azazel, traditionally associated with scapegoating and the wilderness, emerges as a teacher of forbidden knowledge, a master of transformation, and a guide to the hidden realms. Alleged results from interactions with these demons often include increased self-confidence, enhanced magical abilities, and a deeper understanding of the self and the cosmos. Specific techniques are allegedly used to contact these entities, such as shadow work, a process of confronting and integrating the darker aspects of the self, and self-deification rituals designed to elevate the practitioner to a godlike status. The alleged goals of these techniques are to unlock hidden potential, overcome limitations, and achieve a state of personal transformation. But what are the philosophical and psychological implications of this dark path approach to demon summoning? Some argue that the demons represent aspects of the individual's shadow self, the repressed desires, fears, and instincts that we often deny or suppress. By confronting and integrating these aspects, the practitioner can achieve a greater sense of wholeness and self-acceptance. The potential for personal transformation and empowerment is undeniable, but the ethical considerations of manipulating demonic forces for personal gain must also be considered. What does seeking this knowledge say about the human psyche? Does it reveal a deep-seated desire for power, a longing for forbidden knowledge, or a rebellion against societal norms? The potential benefits include self-empowerment, increased self-awareness, and the ability to overcome limitations. However, the risks are equally significant, including the potential for corruption, obsession, delusion, and a dangerous disconnect from reality. However, it is essential to acknowledge alternative perspectives on the dark path. Many argue that it is a dangerous and destructive path, leading to psychological harm, spiritual corruption, and a loss of connection with reality. The Abrahamic religions, for example, view all demonolatry as inherently evil, a form of idolatry that leads to eternal damnation. The possibility of manipulation, both by the demons themselves and by unscrupulous practitioners, is also a significant concern. Skeptics argue that the alleged benefits of the dark path are merely the result of self-deception, wishful thinking, or even mental illness. Furthermore, some individuals are simply not suited for this path, lacking the necessary ethical grounding, psychological stability, or understanding of occult principles. Chaos magic, with its emphasis on subjective reality and the power of belief, often plays a role in the dark path, but without a solid foundation in ethics and self-awareness, it can easily lead to dangerous and unpredictable outcomes. Despite these counterarguments, understanding the dark path remains significant. It sheds light on the complex and often contradictory nature of human desire, the allure of forbidden knowledge, and the enduring power of myth and symbolism. While the risks are undeniable, the potential for self-empowerment and personal transformation cannot be dismissed. However, it is crucial to approach this path with respect, caution, and a deep understanding of the self. The importance of self-awareness and honesty cannot be overstated. Are some demons simply misunderstood, their true nature obscured by centuries of religious dogma and cultural bias? Perhaps the power that comes with that knowledge comes with a price, and that price may simply be a change of view, but it's a need to remain cautious. In summary, the dark path represents a radical departure from traditional demonology, emphasizing individual empowerment, forbidden knowledge, and the embrace of chaos. But it is also a path fraught with danger, requiring respect, caution, and a deep understanding of the self. But does this mean that labels such as good and evil ultimately fail to capture the nuance of our interactions with these entities? This leads us to a discussion of the subjective nature of morality and a consideration of the possibility that demons may not be inherently malevolent, something we will explore next. Having ventured down the dark path and considered the embrace of chaos, we must now challenge one of the most fundamental assumptions about demonology, the black and white view of good and evil. What if the labels we apply to these entities, the very framework we use to understand them, are not as fixed as we believe? What if demons are not simply forces of darkness, but complex beings whose actions and motivations defy simple categorization? This section will explore the subjective nature of morality within demonology, teasing out the nuances of a cosmos where good and evil are not always easily defined, hinting at a deeper understanding of these entities and their place in the universe. To truly understand the subjective nature of morality, it's critical to examine how moral frameworks have evolved and varied across different cultures and throughout history. Perceptions of morality are not universal constants, but rather fluid constructs shaped by time, place, and cultural context. Consider, for instance, the ancient practice of ritualistic human sacrifice, viewed as a sacred duty in some societies, while considered an abhorrent crime in others. This is cultural relativism in action, where actions deemed immoral in one society are accepted or even celebrated in another. Philosophical and religious shifts have also profoundly impacted moral values, leading to vastly different ethical codes across different eras. What was once seen as virtuous can become vice, and vice versa, demonstrating the ever-changing landscape of moral judgment. Different cultures and traditions view demons and spirits through vastly different lenses. In some traditions, trickster spirits are revered for their chaotic energy and their ability to challenge societal norms, while in others they are feared and demonized. Consider the benevolent gods of some ancient cultures who demanded sacrifice, acts that would be considered monstrous from a modern perspective. Even within a single tradition, the same entity can be viewed in multiple ways, depending on the individual's perspective and their relationship with the spirit. This inherent subjectivity challenges the notion of universal moral standards, highlighting the importance of context and individual interpretation. Morality is subjective, which means that moral values are not absolute truths etched into the fabric of the universe, but rather relative perspectives shaped by individual, cultural, and historical factors. Our moral compass is influenced by a complex interplay of cultural norms, personal experiences, and individual beliefs, all of which contribute to our sense of right and wrong. The philosophical implications of moral relativism are profound, challenging the very foundations of ethics and forcing us to confront the limitations of our own moral judgments. What is considered moral can shift based on perspective, creating a complex tapestry of ethical considerations. This subjectivity extends to the realm of demonology, where the concept of moral ambiguity takes on a whole new dimension. Actions attributed to demons can be interpreted in multiple ways, depending on one's individual perspective and belief system. Consider the idea that demons may not be inherently evil, but rather forces that can be harnessed for both constructive and destructive purposes. A force that destroys can also create, clearing the way for new growth and transformation. This nuanced view challenges the simplistic notion of demons as purely malevolent entities, opening the door to the possibility that some may even be viewed as good, depending on the individual's intent and the outcome of their interactions. Specific examples of demons whose actions and attributes defy simple categorization as good or evil abound within the pages of demonological texts. Lucifer, for example, is not simply the embodiment of evil, but can be seen as a symbol of enlightenment and rebellion against oppressive authority, representing the potential for positive change through defiance. Lilith, often portrayed as a monstrous figure, can be interpreted as a symbol of female empowerment and sexual liberation, challenging traditional gender roles and societal norms. Even demons like Andras, often associated with warfare and destruction, can be seen as forces of necessary change, clearing away the old to make way for the new. Whether their actions are considered good or bad often depends on the perspective of the one interpreting them. Historical accounts also offer glimpses into the complex and often contradictory nature of demons. There are instances where demons have allegedly assisted humans, providing them with knowledge, power, or protection. Positive outcomes have been attributed to demonic intervention, blurring the lines between good and evil. Exploring these accounts reveals the nuances and complexities of the relationship between humans and demons, challenging the notion of a purely adversarial dynamic. These examples often involve the demon acting as a catalyst for personal growth, a guide to hidden knowledge, or a protector against greater threats, further complicating our understanding of their true nature. Viewing demons as morally ambiguous beings carries significant psychological and philosophical implications. Some argue that demons represent aspects of the human psyche, the shadow self, the repressed desires and instincts that we often deny or suppress. By confronting and integrating these aspects, it is believed that one can achieve personal growth and transformation, embracing the totality of their being. However, this raises complex ethical considerations. Is it acceptable to work with forces that are not inherently good or evil, and what responsibilities come with wielding such power? Navigating this moral terrain requires a deep understanding of the self and a commitment to ethical principles. This view differs significantly from traditional demonology, which often presents a rigid dichotomy between good and evil, with demons firmly placed on the side of darkness. The Abrahamic religions, for example, typically portray demons as malevolent entities that seek to corrupt and destroy humanity. Even within traditional magic, demons are often seen as dangerous forces that must be controlled through strict rituals and incantations. However, this perspective has evolved over time, with some modern practitioners embracing a more nuanced view of demons as complex beings with their own unique agendas and motivations. Understanding the history of these shifting perspectives allows for a more comprehensive approach to demonology. However, it is crucial to acknowledge the potential dangers of moral relativism and the argument that certain actions are inherently wrong, regardless of perspective. Unchecked freedom, without ethical boundaries, can easily lead to chaos and destruction. A strong moral compass is essential when working with demonic forces, providing a framework for responsible action and preventing the practitioner from succumbing to the darker aspects of their own nature. Does the end ever truly justify the means, or are there certain lines that should never be crossed, regardless of the potential benefits? Counterarguments to this subjective view abound. It is easy to justify harmful actions if morality is seen as purely subjective, potentially leading the practitioner down a path of self-deception and moral decay. There is a risk of becoming a monster, losing sight of empathy and compassion in the pursuit of personal power. Furthermore, the dark path is criticized by some for lacking the necessary rules and guidelines, potentially leading to dangerous and unpredictable outcomes. These are valid concerns that must be carefully considered when exploring the subjective nature of morality in demonology. Despite these counterarguments, it is important to understand the subjective nature of morality in demonology. A balanced and nuanced perspective is essential, one that recognizes the limitations of simplistic labels like good and evil. Ascribing human morality to demons may be inherently limiting, preventing us from understanding their true nature and their place in the cosmos. Embracing this complexity requires critical thinking, self-awareness, and a deep commitment to personal responsibility. The ethical implications of this understanding are profound. Cultivating compassion, empathy, and a concern for the well-being of all beings becomes paramount, even when working with forces that may be perceived as dangerous or destructive. Understanding subjectivity may even lead to a better, more respectful relationship with demons, one based on mutual understanding and a shared pursuit of knowledge and transformation. This approach emphasizes the importance of intention and the potential for positive outcomes, even when working with entities traditionally associated with darkness. In summary, demonology can be a field of immense nuance, where demons may not be inherently evil, but are instead complex entities whose actions and motivations defy easy categorization. Given this, and given that simplistic notions of morality might hinder our understanding of these beings, what other assumptions might we need to challenge? This leads us to a discussion of the limitations of human perception and the possibility that our understanding of reality itself may be fundamentally flawed. Having challenged the black and white view of good and evil, we must now confront another fundamental assumption in demonology, that what we perceive is all there is. But what if there's a hidden reality beyond what our senses tell us, a reality that directly impacts our understanding of demonic entities? This section will challenge the limitations of human perception and explore the implications for interacting with demons, hinting at a deeper understanding of the demonic realm and what happens when those limits are tested. To appreciate the challenge that human perception poses, let's consider how philosophers and scientists have grappled with the limitations of our senses throughout history. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, presented a world where humans are chained, only able to see shadows on a wall, mistaking them for reality. The true world exists outside the cave, accessible only through reason and philosophical inquiry. Immanuel Kant further complicated matters with his concept of noumena, the things in themselves that exist beyond our ability to perceive them directly. We can only experience phenomena, our subjective interpretations of reality, forever separated from the true nature of things. Even quantum physics throws a wrench into our understanding, with the observer effect demonstrating how the act of observation itself can alter the behavior of subatomic particles. The very history of understanding the human brain is a story of progressively revealing the limitations of how we perceive and interpret information. This understanding of perception has profound implications for magic throughout history. Trickster spirits, found in many cultures, often thrive on challenging our perceptions of reality, blurring the lines between illusion and truth. These entities, like Loki in Norse mythology or Anansi in West African folklore, use deception and misdirection to test the boundaries of human understanding. They highlight the inherent instability of our perceptions and the ease with which we can be fooled. Furthermore, the very act of ritual is designed to alter our perception, using specific words, actions, and symbols to induce altered states of consciousness. Rituals have historically been used to challenge and break from perception to achieve new insights. But what exactly do we mean by limited human perception, and what are its specific limitations? Our senses, while seemingly comprehensive, operate within a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum and sound frequencies. We can only see a fraction of the light that exists and hear a small range of sounds. Furthermore, our brains are prone to cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that can distort our perceptions. Confirmation bias leads us to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs, while anchoring bias causes us to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive. Cultural conditioning also plays a significant role, shaping our perceptions based on the norms and values of our society. Even our expectations can influence what we perceive, leading us to see what we want to see, rather than what is actually there. The unsettling question is, what if demons exist outside the bounds of normal human perception, operating in dimensions or frequencies beyond our sensory range? Consider, for instance, a demon capable of influencing dreams. This entity could subtly alter our perceptions while we sleep, planting suggestions and manipulating our emotions without our conscious awareness. It could twist our fears, exploit our desires, or even guide us towards hidden truths, all while remaining unseen and unheard in our waking reality. Understanding these limitations is crucial for gaining a deeper grasp of the demonic, and also for better understanding the self. To illustrate these limitations, consider the power of optical illusions. These visual tricks demonstrate how easily our eyes can be deceived, leading us to perceive shapes, colors, and patterns that are not actually there. The Ponzo illusion, for example, makes two lines of equal length appear different sizes based on their surrounding context. Similarly, real-world examples of cognitive biases abound, from political polarization, where people only consume news from sources that confirm their existing beliefs, to the widespread belief in conspiracy theories, which often defy logic and evidence. The scientific method itself is built upon acknowledging and mitigating these biases. Experiments like the Milgram experiment reveal that authority figures can alter perception and compliance. The placebo effect itself is the physical result of the mind-altering perception, creating tangible results through expectation and belief. How does this challenge traditional practices? The recognition of limited perception demands a re-evaluation of traditional demonolatry practices. Many of these practices rely on sensory experiences, such as sigils, incense, and incantations, to establish contact with demonic entities. If our senses are inherently limited, then these practices may only be scratching the surface of what is possible. Furthermore, old habits of thinking and perceiving can lead to negative results, blinding us to the true nature of the demonic and hindering our ability to establish meaningful connections. Embracing new ideas may require stepping outside of traditional practices. These limitations can lead to profound misinterpretations of demonic activity. What we perceive as a malevolent haunting could simply be a misreading of subtle energy fluctuations or interdimensional bleed-through. A demonic message might be filtered through our own biases and fears, distorting its true meaning. We might attribute certain experiences to demonic influence when they are simply manifestations of our own subconscious minds. Therefore, our conclusions about encounters may be inaccurate. If human perception is so limited, can we truly trust our current methods of demonolatry? perhaps incorporating different meditation techniques designed to quiet the mind and bypass the limitations of the senses, such as mindfulness or transcendental meditation, could be more effective. Experimentation with new wards that are designed to block influence could be attempted. Exploring these avenues may allow us to connect on a deeper, more authentic level. Of course, it's important to acknowledge that human perception is sufficient for navigating the everyday world. Our senses have evolved to help us survive and thrive in our environment, and they serve us well in most situations. The scientific method, which relies on observation and experimentation, has proven to be a powerful tool for understanding the natural world. Furthermore, skepticism is essential when dealing with supernatural claims. It's easy to fall victim to confirmation bias, interpreting ambiguous events as evidence of demonic activity when they could simply be coincidences or natural phenomena. Even with its limitations, humanity has survived and prospered, building civilizations and unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Some may argue that embracing the unknown too readily could open doors to forces that we cannot control, allowing demons to gain a foothold in our reality. Also, a strong dose of skepticism and rationality can protect against delusion. But if we become overly skeptical, do we risk missing out on potentially transformative experiences and insights? Too much skepticism prevents experiencing anything new. Despite these counterarguments, it is crucial to acknowledge and address the limitations of human perception. A balanced perspective is essential, one that combines critical thinking with an open mind and a willingness to explore the unknown. Recognizing these limitations is not a sign of weakness, but rather a testament to our intellectual honesty and our commitment to seeking deeper truths. For instance, many have claimed to witness a UFO, but later found the truth of an unusual weather pattern. Understanding perception can improve relationships with demons, offer a more accurate grasp of the world, and highlight benefits to the practitioner. How might this understanding influence how we perceive and interact with demons? Now that we've established that our perception is inherently limited, what alternative ways exist for perceiving and interacting with demonic entities? What if we could transcend the limitations of our senses and communicate with these beings on a deeper, more intuitive level, such as through altered states of consciousness, intuitive practices, or non-sensory forms of communication? What we'll discover next is even more shocking and might reveal a way to truly understand demons. Having established that our perception is inherently limited, it is imperative to explore alleged alternative methods for perceiving and interacting with demonic entities, moving beyond the constraints of traditional sensory experiences and intellectual understanding. What if the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of the demonic realm lies not in refining our existing senses, but in transcending them altogether? This section will explore altered states of consciousness, intuitive practices, and non-sensory communication, hinting at the potential for transcending human limitations and accessing profound, though potentially perilous, levels of understanding. To appreciate the historical context of these alternative approaches, we must turn to cultures that have long embraced non-ordinary states of awareness as pathways to knowledge and power. Shamanic traditions around the world, from Siberia to South America, offer a rich tapestry of practices for entering altered states of consciousness. Shamans often use drumming, chanting, fasting, and hallucinogenic plants to induce trance states, believing that these states allow them to communicate with spirits, heal the sick, and gain insights into the future. Consider the ayahuasca ceremonies of the Amazonian rainforest, where participants ingest a psychedelic brew containing DMT, a powerful hallucinogen, to enter a realm of visions and encounters with spirit entities. These practices demonstrate a deep-seated belief in the ability to transcend ordinary perception and access hidden realities. The effectiveness of these practices, measured by their cultural longevity and reported results, suggests that there may be something more to these methods than simple hallucination. Eastern spiritual traditions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, also offer a wealth of techniques for altering perception and achieving higher states of consciousness. Meditation, contemplation, and yoga are all designed to quiet the mind, focus attention, and cultivate inner awareness. Through dedicated practice, practitioners aim to transcend the limitations of the ego and experience a direct connection with the divine. In some forms of Buddhism, practitioners engage in intense periods of solitary retreat, spending weeks or months in silent meditation, pushing the boundaries of their mental and emotional endurance. These practices are believed to lead to profound insights into the nature of reality and the workings of the human mind. Furthermore, across cultures, the effectiveness of altered states and perception has been seen as a spiritual tool. Within magical orders, too, the exploration of altered states has been a recurring theme. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a prominent occult group in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, developed elaborate techniques for astral projection, a practice that involves consciously separating one's consciousness from the physical body and traveling to other realms. Members of the Golden Dawn used meditation, visualization, and ritual practices to induce these out-of-body experiences, believing that they could gain access to hidden knowledge and communicate with spiritual entities. Aleister Crowley, another influential figure in occultism, experimented with various methods for altering consciousness, including the use of drugs, sensory deprivation, and intense ritual practices. He believed that these techniques could unlock hidden potentials within the human psyche and facilitate encounters with otherworldly beings. It is important to note that many of these techniques are still actively practiced and explored by contemporary occultists and magicians, demonstrating their enduring appeal and perceived effectiveness. But what exactly do we mean by alternative methods, and how do they differ from ordinary perception? Altered states of consciousness refer to any mental state that deviates significantly from normal waking awareness. These states can be induced through a variety of means, including meditation, trance, psychedelic substances, sensory deprivation, and extreme physical exertion. Intuitive practices such as clairvoyance, clear seeing, clairaudience, clear hearing, and clairsentience, clear feeling, involve the alleged ability to perceive information beyond the reach of the five senses. Non-sensory communication encompasses techniques such as telepathy, mind-to-mind communication, astral projection, out-of-body travel, and dreamwork, interpreting the symbolic language of dreams. The alleged purpose of these methods is to bypass the limitations of the conscious mind, access the subconscious, and establish a direct connection with other entities. These methods are believed to work by tapping into underlying energies. By bypassing the limitations of the conscious mind, it is believed that practitioners can access deeper levels of intuition, creativity, and spiritual insight. The concept of energy manipulation, often associated with practices like Reiki and Qigong, suggests that humans can learn to control and direct subtle energies within their bodies and the environment. Some believe that this energy manipulation can enhance intuitive abilities and facilitate communication with other entities, including demons. However, it is crucial to acknowledge the potential risks associated with these methods. Altered states of consciousness can be unpredictable and disorienting, and may lead to psychological distress or even psychosis in vulnerable individuals. There can also be a risk of becoming overly reliant on these methods, neglecting the development of critical thinking skills and rational decision-making abilities. But how are these methods applied in the context of demonology? Consider the use of trance states for communication with demons. Practitioners may use techniques such as drumming, chanting, or visualization to induce a trance state, believing that this allows them to open a channel of communication with the demonic realm. During the trance, the practitioner may attempt to ask questions, receive guidance, or even negotiate with the demon. Some practitioners claim to receive direct verbal responses from the demon, while others report experiencing visions, feelings, or intuitive insights. The renowned 16th-century occultist Johannes Trithemius allegedly used crystal gazing to speak with spirits. While these accounts are often presented as evidence of genuine demonic contact, it is important to acknowledge the challenges of verifying their accuracy. It is difficult to distinguish between genuine communication and the practitioner's own subconscious projections or wishful thinking. Other techniques used in demonology include scrying, where practitioners gaze into a reflective surface, such as a mirror, crystal bowl, or bowl of water, to see visions of demonic entities. For instance, the demon viewer can allegedly be seen via scrying. Automatic writing involves entering a trance state and allowing a spirit to guide one's hand to write messages on paper. Dreamwork involves interpreting dreams as a means of receiving messages from the demonic realm. For example, incubus can allegedly be encountered in dreams. While all demons may be reached via dreams, some may be better than others. Some practitioners believe that certain demons are more amenable to these alternative methods. For example, some occultists claim that demons like Raum are particularly skilled at communicating through visions and dreams, while others believe that demons like Valak are more easily contacted through scrying. When attempting to induce altered states, it is crucial to prioritize safety and well-being. Proper meditation involves creating a quiet and comfortable environment, focusing on the breath, and gently redirecting the mind when it wanders. It is also important to start slowly and gradually increase the duration of meditation sessions over time. The use of drugs and alcohol to induce altered states is highly discouraged due to the significant risks involved. These substances can impair judgment, distort perception, and lead to unpredictable and potentially dangerous behavior. If exploring altered states, it is important to do so with a sober and clear mind. Engaging in these practices may also lead to other mental health issues. Therefore, it is important to proceed with caution, seek guidance from experienced practitioners, and prioritize one's own safety and well-being. But what are the psychological and philosophical implications of using these methods? One potential benefit is that they may enhance the magician's self-knowledge and understanding. By exploring the depths of their own subconscious, practitioners may uncover hidden aspects of their personality, confront repressed emotions, and gain insights into their own motivations and desires. However, it is also possible that these methods are simply a form of self-hypnosis or psychological projection, where the practitioner is essentially creating their own experiences based on their own beliefs and expectations. From an ethical standpoint, it's imperative to understand if the altered state will harm oneself or others. These practices could also be interpreted as contacting interdimensional entities. Are they real entities or Jungian archetypes? Jungian archetypes offer a powerful framework for understanding the symbolism and patterns that emerge in altered states of consciousness. According to Jung, archetypes are universal, inherited patterns of thought and behavior that reside in the collective unconscious. These archetypes can manifest in dreams, myths, and religious symbols, and they can also influence our perceptions and experiences in altered states of consciousness. However, it is also possible that these encounters are more than just psychological projections, but glimpses into a deeper reality. However, alternative explanations must be considered. It is possible that these experiences are simply hallucinations or vivid dreams generated by the brain in response to specific stimuli or altered states of consciousness. The lack of scientific evidence for the existence of demons and the efficacy of these methods further supports this interpretation. Furthermore, there is a significant risk of psychological harm from engaging in these practices, particularly for individuals with pre-existing mental health conditions. These methods can exacerbate anxiety, depression, and psychosis, and may lead to delusional thinking and distorted perceptions of reality. It also might be difficult to explain to others and could lead to misunderstandings. Despite these counterarguments, there remains value in exploring these alternative methods of perception and interaction. By approaching these practices with self-awareness, critical thinking, and a healthy dose of skepticism, practitioners can gain valuable insights into their own minds, the nature of reality, and the potential for human consciousness. Regardless of whether demons are objectively real entities or simply psychological constructs, the exploration of these alternative methods can lead to new understandings, expanded consciousness, and personal transformations. A new perspective on reality is possible, yet caution and ethics are still needed. These alternative methods of perception are powerful ways to understand demons, but they have potential pitfalls. What happens when, armed with this new understanding, the magician seeks to form relationships with these entities? What potential exists for forging partnerships and alliances with demonic forces, and what are the potential consequences of such endeavors? What we'll discover next will explore the dark roads of partnership. Having explored alternative perception methods for interacting with demonic entities, what happens when the magician seeks to form actual relationships with these forces, moving beyond fleeting encounters to forge deeper, more sustained connections? While simple interactions might offer glimpses into the demonic realm, the true potential and the true peril lies in forming long-term bonds, blurring the boundaries between self and other in ways that can be both transformative and terrifying. This section will explore various types of relationships, hinting at both the allure and the potential dangers and rewards that await those who dare to tread this path. To understand the possibility of human-entity relationships, we must first look to history and mythology, where accounts of such bonds abound. Across cultures, there are historical and mythological precedents for human-divine relationships, from the intimate connections between shamans and their spirit guides to the romantic unions between gods and mortals. Consider the ancient Egyptian pharaohs, who claimed to be descendants of the gods and maintained a close relationship with the divine realm through rituals and offerings. Or consider the Greek myths, where gods like Zeus and Poseidon frequently fathered children with human women, creating demigod heroes like Hercules and Achilles. The relationship between humans and angels is also well documented in religious texts, with angels acting as messengers, protectors, and guides. However, accounts of alleged relationships with demons, though less celebrated, are equally prevalent in folklore and occult literature. The concepts of marriage to demons, where individuals form a lifelong bond with a demonic entity, and pacts with demons, where individuals exchange their souls for power or knowledge, are recurring themes in these narratives, revealing a persistent human fascination with the darker aspects of the spiritual realm. Perhaps one of the most intriguing examples of alleged human-demon relationships can be found in the tales of succubi and incubi. Succubi are female demons believed to seduce men in their sleep, while incubi are male demons who seduce women. Their traits are often described as alluring and seductive, with the ability to shapeshift and manipulate dreams. They allegedly form relationships through repeated encounters, gradually establishing a bond with their victims. The historic view of these entities was one of fear and condemnation, with the belief that they were responsible for causing sexual deviancy and spiritual corruption. However, modern views often interpret succubi and incubi as psychological manifestations of repressed desires or unresolved emotional issues. Regardless of their true nature, these entities continue to fascinate and intrigue, highlighting the complex interplay between sexuality, spirituality, and the demonic. But what exactly constitutes a relationship with a demonic entity? It is not merely about summoning a demon and issuing commands. It is about establishing a connection based on mutual respect, reciprocity, and shared goals. Different types of relationships can be formed, ranging from partnerships, where humans and demons work together towards a common objective, to mentorships, where demons impart knowledge and guidance, to servitude, where demons are bound to obey the magician's will, and even romantic relationships, where humans and demons engage in intimate and sensual interactions. Power dynamics inevitably come into play, as demons often possess superior knowledge and abilities, but a healthy relationship requires a balance of power and a recognition of each other's strengths and weaknesses. This complex dynamic requires more than just respect. It requires a code of ethics. The nature of bonds that can be formed with demons can vary greatly, ranging from short-term to long-term, and from simple allegiance to a deep and lasting friendship. Short-term bonds might be formed for a specific purpose, such as obtaining information or performing a particular task, while long-term bonds can last for years or even a lifetime. Allegiance might involve a demon pledging loyalty to the magician, while allegiance and friendship imply a deeper level of connection and emotional investment. Power exchange is a common element in these relationships, with the magician offering something of value in exchange for the demon's services or knowledge. This could involve offerings, rituals, or even the magician's own energy or life force, creating a delicate and potentially dangerous balance of power. Specific examples of alleged human-demon relationships can be found throughout mythology, folklore, and the accounts of practitioners. In Arthurian legend, Merlin is said to have had a demon familiar who aided him in his magical endeavors. Practitioners throughout history have claimed to have formed relationships with demons for various purposes, from gaining wealth and power to acquiring knowledge and wisdom. The roles and responsibilities in these relationships vary depending on the type of bond formed. In a partnership, both parties share the workload and decision-making, while in a mentorship, the demon guides and advises the magician. In a servitude relationship, the demon is bound to obey the magician's commands, but even in these cases, the magician must treat the demon with respect and provide adequate compensation for its services. The concept of demonic familiars offers a particularly interesting insight into human-demon relationships. A familiar is a spirit, often in animal form, that serves as a companion and assistant to a magician. While not all familiars are demonic in nature, some demons are believed to be particularly well-suited for this role. These demons can provide a range of services, from protecting the magician from harm to delivering messages and performing magical tasks. A familiar serves the magician by acting as an extension of their will, carrying out their commands, and providing them with information and support. The magician, in turn, provides the familiar with nourishment, protection, and companionship, creating a symbiotic relationship. What about the concept of marriage to demons? Historical views of this practice were largely negative, with the belief that it was a form of spiritual adultery and a violation of divine law. However, modern views often take a more nuanced approach, interpreting marriage to a demon as a symbolic union between the magician and their shadow self. The benefits of this concept include personal transformation, empowerment, and a deeper understanding of the self. The drawbacks include the potential for psychological harm, spiritual corruption, and the loss of one's own identity. Some practitioners believe that marriage to a demon can lead to enlightenment and self-realization, while others view it as a dangerous and misguided pursuit. But what are the psychological and spiritual implications of forming relationships with demonic entities? One potential benefit is the opportunity for personal transformation and growth. By confronting the darker aspects of the self and integrating them into one's personality, practitioners may experience a profound sense of wholeness and empowerment. However, there is also the potential for manipulation, as demons are often portrayed as cunning and deceitful beings who may seek to exploit the magician's weaknesses. These relationships can have a significant impact on a practitioner's life, both positively and negatively, affecting their mental health, spiritual well-being, and relationships with others. Individuals who are most susceptible to these relationships are often those who are vulnerable, isolated, or seeking power and validation. Indeed, demons can be seen as mirrors, reflecting aspects of the self that are often hidden or repressed. Drawing on Jungian psychology, demons can represent the shadow self, the unconscious part of the personality that contains repressed desires, fears, and instincts. By forming relationships with these entities, practitioners may be forced to confront these hidden aspects of themselves, leading to greater self-awareness and integration. This process of transformation can be challenging and painful, but it can also be incredibly rewarding, leading to a more authentic and fulfilling life. However, the magician should be prepared to face potentially disturbing truths about themselves. However, we must acknowledge the potential dangers and ethical concerns associated with forming relationships with demonic entities. There is a risk of romanticizing these relationships, overlooking the potential for manipulation and abuse. Psychological harm and loss of self are also potential consequences, as the magician may become overly dependent on the demon or lose their own sense of identity. The slippery slope of relationships with demons can lead to a gradual erosion of ethical boundaries and a descent into darkness. It is vital that practitioners maintain clear boundaries, exercise caution, and seek guidance from experienced mentors. Ultimately, not everyone is suited for forming relationships with demons. It requires mental fortitude, emotional stability, and a clear understanding of one's own motivations and limitations. Demons are not always benevolent, and some may be inherently malicious or destructive. Some view these relationships as inherently wrong, arguing that they are a violation of divine law or a betrayal of one's own soul. It is important to carefully consider these perspectives and weigh the potential risks and benefits before embarking on this path. It is worth considering if the path is right for the individual. Despite these counterarguments, there remains value in exploring the potential for relationships with demonic entities. By approaching these relationships with responsibility, ethics, and informed consent, practitioners can deepen their understanding of themselves, the nature of reality, and the potential for human-demon interaction. Such relationships have the potential to deepen understanding, but ethical boundaries must be understood. Safety is paramount, and practitioners need to consider if it is right for them. It is essential to proceed with caution and respect. These relationships, while potentially insightful, carry profound ethical implications and may not be for everyone. But what happens when a magician, driven by an insatiable thirst for power or knowledge, decides that a mere relationship is not enough? What price are they willing to pay to unlock the secrets of the demonic realm, and what happens when they enter into a demonic pact, exchanging something of immense value for otherworldly power? What we'll discover next are the perils of demonic pacts, where the stakes are raised and the potential for both triumph and tragedy looms large. Having explored the possibilities of relationships with demonic entities, it's time to consider a potentially far darker path, where connections aren't about friendship or mutual respect, but about calculated exchange. We are entering the realm of demonic pacts, formal agreements where something of value is offered in return for power or knowledge, as detailed within the pages of the Lesser Key of Solomon. These aren't relationships built on shared experience, but transactional arrangements with guaranteed results, or so it seems. But what price must be paid to secure such a deal, and will that price ultimately be higher than anyone could anticipate? Across cultures and throughout history, stories abound of individuals entering into agreements with supernatural entities. Consider the legend of Faust, a brilliant but dissatisfied scholar who famously made a pact with Mephistopheles, a demon, trading his soul for unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures. This tale, immortalized by Marlowe and Goethe, explores the themes of ambition, the insatiable thirst for knowledge, and the ultimate price of spiritual corruption. Medieval grimoires, such as the Grimorium Verum and the Grand Grimoire, are filled with detailed instructions for making pacts with demons, outlining the precise rituals, incantations, and conditions required to bind these entities to one's will. These texts reveal a belief that demons could be compelled to grant wishes, provide assistance, or reveal hidden secrets, but only if the magician followed the prescribed procedures exactly. Then there is the Christian folklore that speaks of selling one's soul to the devil, a concept deeply rooted in the fear of spiritual corruption and the consequences of embracing evil. Allegedly, Robert Johnson, the legendary blues musician, sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads in exchange for his incredible guitar skills. Whether these pacts are real or imagined, the recurring motif of exchanging something of immense value for supernatural power reveals a persistent human fascination with the darker side of the spiritual realm. But demonic pacts are not the only type of agreement that can be made with supernatural entities. Compare them to shamanic traditions, where practitioners enter into agreements with spirits for healing, guidance, or protection. Unlike demonic pacts, these agreements are typically based on mutual respect and reciprocity, rather than coercion or exploitation. The shaman offers their services as a mediator between the human and spirit worlds, maintaining a balance of power and ensuring that both parties benefit from the relationship. Angelic pacts are another form of agreement with supernatural entities, where individuals invoke the aid of angels for benevolent purposes, such as healing, protection, or spiritual growth. These pacts are typically characterized by a focus on love, compassion, and divine service, rather than the pursuit of personal gain or power. While demonic pacts often involve a Faustian bargain with potentially dire consequences, agreements with other supernatural entities can be far more beneficial, leading to healing, spiritual growth, and a deeper connection with the divine. What sets demonic pacts apart is their inherent risk and the potential for spiritual corruption, making them a path to be trod with extreme caution. So, what exactly is a demonic pact? At its core, it is a formal agreement between a human and a demonic entity, in which the human offers something of value, most often the service of their life, or even their soul, in exchange for something the demon can provide. This something can manifest as power, forbidden knowledge, immense wealth, influence over others, or the fulfillment of desires that would otherwise be unattainable. These pacts can take various forms, from blood pacts, where the agreement is sealed with the signer's blood, to written pacts, meticulously detailing the terms and conditions, to verbal pacts, where the agreement is spoken aloud in a ritual setting. Whatever the form, key elements remain constant: an offer from the human, acceptance by the demon, clearly defined conditions that both parties must adhere to, and the potentially devastating consequences of failing to uphold one's end of the bargain. These pacts are not entered into lightly. The mechanics of a demonic pact ritual often involve elaborate preparations, including the construction of specialized tools, the creation of a consecrated space, and the precise timing of the invocation. Grimoires detail the construction of specific tools such as athames, sigils, and talismans, each imbued with symbolic meaning and power. The timing of the ritual is often dictated by astrological considerations, aligning the magician's efforts with specific planetary influences or lunar cycles. The magician must also possess a thorough understanding of the demon being invoked, including its name, sigil, attributes, and preferred offerings. These offerings, which can range from incense and candles to more extreme sacrifices, are intended to appease the demon and secure its cooperation. But if anything goes wrong, if a single word is mispronounced, a symbol incorrectly drawn, or a condition unmet, the ritual can fail or worse, have unintended consequences. The alleged effects could range from a simple lack of results to demonic backlash, mental instability, or even physical harm. What makes these rituals so dangerous is that they involve tapping into forces that are beyond human comprehension and control, forces that can easily overwhelm those who are not adequately prepared. Throughout history, there have been numerous accounts of alleged demonic pacts, each serving as a cautionary tale. Consider the story of Urbain Grandier, a 17th-century French priest who was accused of witchcraft and making a pact with the demon Asmodeus. According to the accusations, Grandier signed a pact with the demon in exchange for power and influence over the women of Loudun. This pact, allegedly written in Latin and signed with Grandier's own blood, was presented as evidence against him during his trial. After brutal torture, Grandier confessed and was burned at the stake. Then, there's the previously mentioned story of Johann Georg Faust, the German scholar who made a pact with Mephistopheles. In exchange for unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures, Faust promised his soul to the demon after a set number of years. When the time came, the devil claimed his due, dragging Faust down to hell. While these examples come from historical accounts and folklore, modern-day examples are allegedly becoming more prevalent as well. Individuals seeking fame, fortune, or power have allegedly entered into agreements with demonic entities, trading their souls for success in their chosen fields. But as the saying goes, the devil always gets his due, and these modern-day pacts often result in tragedy, despair, and the loss of everything that truly matters. It is worth noting that the specific conditions and consequences can vary widely depending on the demon involved, with some demons demanding more than others. These alleged conditions that demons place on pacts can be as varied as the demons themselves, ranging from performing specific services to making regular offerings to following certain rules or restrictions. Some demons may require the magician to spread their influence, corrupting others or causing chaos in the world. Others may demand regular offerings of energy, blood, or even human sacrifice. Still others may impose restrictions on the magician's behavior, such as abstaining from certain foods, activities, or relationships. It is absolutely essential to be precise in detailing the conditions of the pact, as demons are believed to be masters of deception and manipulation, always looking for ways to twist the agreement to their advantage. The ethics of such practices are dubious at best. Is it ever justifiable to manipulate demonic forces for personal gain, even if it means potentially harming others or compromising one's own values? Does the end ever justify the means, or are there certain lines that should never be crossed? What then are the psychological and philosophical implications of making a demonic pact? At its core, it reveals a deep-seated desire for power and control, a willingness to sacrifice one's own values for personal gain. Does the demon truly provide that control, or does it subtly corrupt it, turning the magician into a puppet of their own desires? The role of desperation cannot be ignored, as many who seek out demonic pacts are often at the end of their rope, willing to do anything to escape their current circumstances. The ethical considerations of manipulating demonic forces for selfish purposes are immense, raising questions about free will, moral responsibility, and the nature of good and evil. Ultimately, what does the desire to enter into a demonic pact reveal about humanity's darkest impulses? These pacts can be interpreted in multiple ways, both literally and psychologically. The literal interpretation posits that the magician is truly making a deal with a demonic entity, exchanging something tangible for supernatural power. This view aligns with traditional demonology and the belief that demons are real, independent beings with their own agendas and motivations. But there is also a psychological interpretation, which suggests that demons are simply aspects of the human psyche, repressed desires, fears, and shadow selves that are projected outward and personified. In this view, making a pact with a demon is akin to making a deal with one's own darker impulses, embracing the shadow self in exchange for personal gain. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, a synthesis of both literal and psychological interpretations, where the demonic realm exists both within and without, reflecting the complex interplay between the human psyche and the forces of the universe. Now, let's explore the counterarguments. Is it possible that demonic pacts are nothing more than a fictional trope, a product of folklore and literature, or even a manifestation of psychological delusion? Is there any scientific evidence to support the existence of demons or the possibility of making agreements with them? Could these alleged pacts be attributed to mental illness, cognitive distortions, or simply an internal agreement? While there is no scientific evidence to validate the literal existence of demonic pacts, this does not diminish their significance as cultural and psychological phenomena. Even if demonic pacts are not real in the traditional sense, they can still have very real consequences. The ethical compromises involved in seeking power through potentially harmful means can lead to a gradual erosion of one's values and principles. The risk of manipulation is ever present, as the desire for power can make one vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. The lust for power can lead down a dark path, resulting in the loss of everything that truly matters: relationships, integrity, and peace of mind. But these consequences can still be very real, shaping one's life in profound and lasting ways. Despite these counterarguments, demonic pacts remain a significant topic for the study of demonology, providing insight into the human psyche, the allure of power, and the dangers of unchecked ambition. The allure of guaranteed results and the promise of supernatural power are powerful motivators, but the potential price is far too high. Caution, critical thinking, and a strong ethical compass are absolutely essential when approaching this topic. These pacts are a dangerous path, fraught with peril. There are severe psychological effects that must be considered. It is essential to understand this before proceeding. Despite the allure and potential dangers of demonic pacts and the need for caution and ethical considerations, one question remains. If demonic pacts are so dangerous, are there any circumstances where they might be justified? Could working with demons ever be seen as a necessary evil, a means to a greater good, such as for self-defense, justice, or spiritual enlightenment? The answers to these questions are complex, and they may challenge conventional moral frameworks, but what we'll discover next are alleged justifications for working with demons, where the lines between good and evil become blurred, and the true nature of power is revealed. Despite the allure and potential dangers of demonic pacts, and the need for extreme caution and ethical considerations, the question remains: if demonic pacts are so dangerous, are there any circumstances where they might be considered justified? Could working with demons ever be viewed as a necessary evil, a means to a greater good, such as for self-defense, justice, or spiritual enlightenment? The answers to these questions are undeniably complex, challenging conventional moral frameworks, forcing a confrontation with alleged justifications where the lines between good and evil become incredibly blurred. What we must attempt to discover, no matter how unsettling, are specific instances where demonic intervention was sought, not for personal gain, but for what practitioners believed to be a greater cause. To understand the justifications that have been used, we must first consider figures throughout history and mythology whose alleged demonic pacts were perceived, at least by some, as being motivated by extraordinary circumstances. Consider historical accounts of individuals who sought demonic aid not for personal ambition, but for self-defense against tyrannical rulers or oppressive forces. Could such actions be considered justified if they prevented widespread suffering or the loss of innocent lives? What about historical cases where individuals allegedly made pacts to protect their communities from imminent harm, such as a devastating plague or a brutal invasion? Were these pacts, made with the intention of safeguarding others, morally justifiable despite the inherent risks and potential consequences? Then there are mythological examples where heroes sought demonic assistance to achieve a greater good, even at a personal cost. What if a hero made a pact with a demon to defeat a powerful evil that threatened to engulf the world in darkness? Would such a pact be deemed justifiable, even if it meant sacrificing their own soul or enduring eternal torment? It is essential to remember that historical acceptance of such actions does not equate to modern approval, but it does highlight the enduring debate surrounding the ethics of demonic pacts. Comparing examples where a deal may or may not be justified reveals the complexities inherent in this subject. Intent plays a crucial role. Was the pact made for selfless reasons, such as protecting others or fighting injustice, or was it driven by personal desires for power or revenge? The end results must also be considered. Did the pact ultimately lead to a positive outcome, such as the liberation of an oppressed people or the prevention of a catastrophe, or did it result in further suffering and destruction? But what constitutes the greater good? Is it simply the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people, or does it involve upholding certain moral principles, such as respecting free will and minimizing harm, even if it means sacrificing potential benefits? The answers to these questions are far from clear, and they often depend on the moral framework used to evaluate the situation. Defining what constitutes a justified demonic pact requires careful consideration of several factors. The intent behind the pact is of paramount importance. Was the pact made for selfless reasons, such as protecting others from harm or fighting against injustice, or was it motivated by selfish desires, such as personal gain or revenge? The consequences of the pact must also be taken into account. Did the pact ultimately lead to a positive outcome, such as saving lives or preventing a catastrophe, or did it result in further suffering and destruction? The moral framework used to evaluate the situation is also crucial. Are we judging the pact based on utilitarian principles, where the ends justify the means, or are we adhering to deontological ethics, where certain actions are inherently wrong, regardless of their consequences? Ethical considerations distinguish justified pacts from selfish ones, and it is paramount to highlight the importance of minimizing harm and respecting free will. Can a demonic pact ever truly be justified if it involves harming innocent people or infringing upon their free will? What about the concept of the lesser of two evils? Does it apply to demonic pacts? Is it ever justifiable to make a pact with a demon if it prevents a greater evil from occurring? And perhaps the most contentious question, do the ends ever justify the means? If a demonic pact leads to a positive outcome, does it excuse the act of working with demons, which is often considered inherently wrong? Comparing this to how modern wars are viewed provides an interesting parallel. Is it ever justifiable to wage war, even if it results in the loss of innocent lives, if it prevents a greater evil from prevailing? Many would argue that it is, but others would vehemently disagree. Now, let's examine specific examples of situations where practitioners claim justification for their demonic pacts. Imagine a pact made for self-defense against a more powerful aggressor, where a village elder, facing imminent annihilation by a warlord, makes a pact with the demon Floros. In exchange for protecting the village, the elder offers Floros a lifetime of service and the promise that the village will honor him with annual festivals. The demon, known for his strength and ability to destroy enemies, accepts the pact, and the village is saved from destruction. What makes this pact allegedly justifiable is the elder's reasoning. The perceived threat was the complete annihilation of the village and the enslavement of its people. All other alternatives, such as diplomacy or armed resistance, had been exhausted. A demonic pact was deemed the only viable solution, albeit a desperate one, to protect the community from utter devastation. The elder was willing to sacrifice his own life and the village's resources to secure their safety. Consider also a pact for justice, where a victim's family seeks retribution against a wrongdoer who escaped legal consequences. Enraged by the injustice and unable to find legal recourse, the family makes a pact with the demon Balaam. In exchange for Balaam's assistance in bringing the wrongdoer to justice, the family promises to dedicate their lives to spreading the demon's influence and honoring him with secret rituals. Balaam, known for his ability to uncover secrets and manipulate events, accepts the pact, and the wrongdoer is exposed, and brought to justice. The practitioner's reasoning for believing the pact was justified stems from the perceived injustice. The wrongdoer had escaped legal consequences due to corruption or lack of evidence, leaving the family with no other means of seeking retribution. A demonic pact was deemed the only way to ensure that justice was served, even if it meant risking their own souls and aligning themselves with a dark force. Presenting a pact for the greater good, imagine a community afflicted by a devastating plague. Desperate to save their people, a shaman makes a pact with the demon Raum. In exchange for Raum's assistance in healing the sick, the shaman offers to sacrifice their own life and dedicate their soul to the demon. Raum, known for his ability to manipulate disease and control the elements, accepts the pact, and the plague is miraculously cured. The shaman's reasoning for believing the pact was justified was the overwhelming suffering and death within the community. All other remedies had failed, and the plague threatened to wipe out the entire population. A demonic pact was deemed the only way to save the community from extinction, even if it meant sacrificing their own life and soul. And finally, let's consider a pact for spiritual enlightenment, a pursuit often seen as inherently good. A solitary seeker, yearning for ultimate truth, makes a pact with the demon Astaroth. In exchange for Astaroth's guidance and knowledge, the seeker offers a lifetime of devotion and the promise to share the demon's teachings with others. Astaroth, known for his vast knowledge and ability to reveal hidden secrets, accepts the pact, and the seeker embarks on a journey of profound spiritual transformation. The practitioner's reasoning for believing the pact was justified was a deep-seated desire for spiritual truth and enlightenment. Conventional methods of seeking knowledge had proven insufficient, and the seeker believed that a demonic pact was the only way to attain true understanding, even if it meant risking their own soul. This leads us to the question of which types of demons are best suited for each goal. Some demons, like Floros, are known for their strength and ability to destroy enemies, making them suitable for self-defense pacts. Others, like Balaam, are known for their ability to uncover secrets and manipulate events, making them suitable for justice pacts. Still others, like Raum, are known for their ability to manipulate disease and control the elements, making them suitable for healing pacts. Astaroth is known for his knowledge. The specific attributes and abilities of each demon play a crucial role in determining whether a pact is likely to be successful. Analyzing the ethics and psychology of these justified pacts reveals the dangerous territory that is rationalization. Are these practitioners truly motivated by selfless intentions, or are they simply using the guise of a greater good to justify their own desires for power or control? Is it possible that they are deceiving themselves, blinded by their own ambition or desperation? What role does self-deception play in these pacts? Are these noble intentions or corrupted desires cloaked in moral justifications? Could the practitioners have been searching for validation? As Carl Jung might say, are they confronting their shadow selves, or are they being consumed by them? Considering the role of desperation and cognitive biases in justifying pacts, it is important to ask, did the practitioner overestimate the threat or injustice they faced? Were they blinded by their own desire for control or revenge? Did they accurately assess the potential consequences of their actions? Was there truly no alternative solution? The influence of power dynamics on these agreements cannot be ignored. Can a human ever truly be on equal footing with a demonic entity? Does the inherent power imbalance corrupt the entire transaction, regardless of intent? What can truly be given in exchange for demonic power, and what are the long-term consequences of such an exchange? Counterarguments abound, and they are essential to consider. The slippery slope argument suggests that justifying any demonic pact opens the door to further ethical compromises and ultimately leads to darkness. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, as the saying goes, and even well-intentioned pacts can have disastrous unintended consequences. The ends never justify the means, and working with demons is inherently wrong, regardless of the perceived benefits. Pacts, even those made with the best intentions, are still incredibly dangerous. Reiterating that the demonic are not benevolent, it is vital to highlight the risks of making pacts with malevolent beings. Practitioners may be blinded by their desires, unable to see the true nature of the entities they are dealing with. Ultimately, making a pact with a demon is always wrong, regardless of the circumstances. Despite these arguments, the reality is that these pacts are still dangerous, fraught with peril. Synthesizing the information presented, we must emphasize the incredibly dangerous territory that is demonic pacts, regardless of the claimed justification. A strong moral compass is absolutely vital, as is discernment. Ethical responsibility is paramount, and we must remember that rationalization is easy, but incredibly dangerous. Discernment is needed, and the danger simply isn't worth it. Exploring the slippery slope, emphasizing intent, and showing how people have been deceived leads us to the ultimate question. If practitioners are so easily deceived, what prevents demons from manipulating all pacts, regardless of the stated intentions? This is the pivotal question we must address, and in order to do so, we must turn to the nature of manipulation itself. What we'll discover next is how, even with the best intentions, the practitioner may simply be a pawn in a much larger game. The line between making a deal and being manipulated, as we shall see, may be far more illusory than anyone suspects. Building on our exploration of claimed justifications, we now arrive at an unsettling possibility. What if demons, regardless of a practitioner's intent, subtly manipulate pacts to serve their own inscrutable ends? Can we truly be certain that any demonic agreement is a fair exchange? Or are we always at risk of being led down a path of deception, where our best intentions pave the road to unforeseen consequences? What if the very act of seeking power through demonic means opens us up to a level of manipulation that renders our goals irrelevant, making us mere pawns in a cosmic game we barely understand? To grasp the potential for demonic manipulation, we must turn to historical accounts and folklore, where the theme of supernatural entities twisting bargains to their advantage is pervasive. Consider the story of Faust, the archetypal scholar who sells his soul to Mephistopheles in exchange for knowledge and worldly pleasures. While Faust initially believes he is in control of the agreement, Mephistopheles subtly guides him towards experiences that ultimately lead to his damnation, a grim example of how a demonic entity can exploit human desires for its own purposes. Examine also Celtic folklore, where deals with trickster spirits, known as fae, often involve ambiguous language and unforeseen repercussions. These spirits grant wishes, but twist them in ways that bring misfortune to the recipient. The very language used in these agreements becomes a tool of deception, highlighting the importance of precision and awareness when dealing with supernatural forces. Then there are countless tales of individuals who bargain with the devil, seeking wealth, power, or love, only to find that their desires are granted in ways that bring about their ultimate ruin. The consequences are always dire, highlighting the inherent danger of seeking supernatural assistance without fully understanding the price. Do these historical accounts, and the parallels between them, provide a glimpse into the true nature of demonic pacts, or are they merely cautionary tales meant to dissuade us from seeking forbidden knowledge? The power of language is paramount when navigating alleged pacts, and within these accounts, the manipulation often hinges on the interpretation of words. What is the true meaning behind the terms we use, the words that we think we know? Binding words, when used correctly, can hold immense power. The magician, however, may not fully grasp the true meaning of these terms, and it is in this gap of understanding that manipulation can take root. What if the very incantations used to summon and bind demons contain hidden layers of meaning, accessible only to the entities themselves? In the context of demonic pacts, manipulation can be defined as the subtle or overt exertion of influence by a demonic entity to subvert the practitioner's intentions and advance its own agenda. Subtle manipulation might involve influencing the practitioner through deception, emotional exploitation, or the gradual erosion of their will. Overt manipulation, on the other hand, could involve using direct commands with subtle twists or loopholes that lead to unintended consequences. The power imbalance inherent in these agreements leaves practitioners vulnerable to manipulation. A lack of humility may exacerbate this, because a hubristic magician may fail to properly consider a demon's capacity for deceit. What then do demons stand to gain from manipulating these agreements? Is it simply a matter of asserting their dominance and control, or are they driven by more complex motives that remain shrouded in mystery? The nature of power and control also demands closer examination. What does it truly mean to possess power? Is it the ability to control external events, or does it involve a deeper understanding of oneself and the forces that shape reality? Demonic pacts often promise the means to achieve specific goals, whether it be wealth, power, or love. But does the practitioner ever truly achieve their intended goal, or does the demonic influence subtly alter their desires and priorities, leading them down a path they never intended to tread? Consider, for example, a pact for wealth, where the magician gains riches beyond their wildest dreams, only to lose their loved ones in a series of tragic accidents, leaving them isolated and miserable despite their newfound fortune. What began as a desire for financial security becomes a curse of loneliness and despair. Imagine a pact for power, where the practitioner rises to a position of authority, but becomes consumed by paranoia and suspicion, alienating their allies and living in constant fear of betrayal. The pursuit of influence transforms into a nightmare of isolation and distrust. Then there is the tale of a deal for love, where the practitioner gains the affection of their desired object, but the relationship quickly spirals into obsession and control, destroying any possibility of genuine connection and happiness. The desire for love becomes a suffocating prison of jealousy and possessiveness. In each of these scenarios, what led to the practitioner's downfall? What vulnerabilities were exploited, and what steps could have been taken to prevent this manipulation? Demons can twist the language of the pact, exploiting ambiguities and loopholes to their advantage. They seek out practitioners who are driven by selfish desires, lack self-awareness, or fail to appreciate the true nature of the forces they are dealing with. Demons may subtly alter the practitioner's perceptions, clouding their judgment and leading them to make choices that ultimately serve the demonic agenda. Psychological manipulation, rather than direct command, becomes the demon's most potent weapon, preying on the practitioner's insecurities, fears, and desires. The psychological and philosophical implications of demonic manipulation are profound. Is the practitioner truly in control of their own destiny, or are they merely puppets dancing to the tune of a demonic puppeteer? Did the practitioner, in their hubris and desperation, enable their own manipulation by failing to consider all other solutions? And what happens when the practitioner realizes they are being manipulated, when the scales fall from their eyes and they see the true nature of their predicament? Would it then be too late? What would Jung say of these pacts, where the shadow self gains control? Demons may even be archetypes that represent the shadow self, the repressed aspects of the human psyche that we often try to ignore or deny. Demonic pacts, in this view, become a symbolic representation of the inner struggle between our conscious desires and our unconscious impulses. The role of greed, ambition, and the lust for power cannot be overstated. These pacts heighten these aspects, amplifying our desires and making us vulnerable to manipulation. But what if we could harness the power of these demonic archetypes to improve ourselves, to confront our shadow selves, and integrate them into our conscious awareness? While the risks of demonic manipulation are undeniable, it is important to acknowledge that a skilled magician can minimize these dangers through careful research, thorough preparation, and the use of strong protections. Some even believe that demons can be benevolent entities, willing to work with humans for mutual benefit. It is also possible that demons adhere to their own code of honor, even if their actions appear manipulative from a human perspective. What the magician sees as manipulation may simply be the demon adhering to its own code of conduct. And what happens if a deal doesn't go their way? Will the demon accept defeat, or will it seek to exact revenge? There is also the possibility that demons do not actively manipulate pacts, and that the perceived manipulation is simply a matter of perspective. Perhaps the practitioner's expectations were unrealistic, or their understanding of the agreement was flawed. Regardless of intent, things will always be twisted. It's up to you to maintain control and to avoid miscommunication. Despite these counterarguments, the risks of demonic manipulation remain ever present, and we must treat all pacts with extreme caution. It is vital to emphasize the need for research, preparation, ethical considerations, clear intent, discernment, and critical thinking. One should proceed safely, if at all, armed with the correct mindset, avoiding arrogance and seeking truth with humility and caution. The dangers of pacts, the potential for manipulation, the ethical concerns, and the need for discernment lead us to a crucial question. What is the true nature of demons, and can their intentions ever truly be known? We've explored the historical context, the practical methods, and the potential dangers, but what lies beneath the surface? What mysteries remain hidden within the unknowable depths of the demonic realm? As we move forward, we will delve into the limits of human understanding, confronting the unsettling possibility that our perceptions are but a pale reflection of a far more complex and terrifying reality. If all previous avenues are fraught with risk, and there is no guarantee of what is known, is it safe to proceed down the dark path of demonology? What limitations, if any, exist on the magician who seeks to command the 72 demons of Solomon? The uncomfortable truth is that, despite all the rituals, incantations, and precautions, truly knowing a demon's heart may be an impossibility. To understand the implications of this, we must turn to philosophical perspectives on the limitations of human understanding when confronted with beings vastly different from ourselves. Throughout history, philosophers have grappled with the challenge of comprehending other minds, even those of fellow humans. How can we ever truly know what another being is thinking or feeling? Ancient views often attributed understanding to divine inspiration, while modern views emphasize empathy and communication. The Greek historian and philosopher Xenophon asserted the importance of understanding one's enemies in order to defeat them. However, what happens when the enemy, or in this case, the demon, operates on a level of consciousness beyond human comprehension? The importance and the challenge of Xenophon's assertion lies in acknowledging the vast gulf that may separate human and demonic minds, a gulf that no amount of study or ritual can fully bridge. Contrast these unknowable beings with those that, at least in theory, can be understood. Humans, for example, possess emotions, motivations, and desires that, while complex, are ultimately relatable to other humans. We can understand love, hate, fear, and ambition because we experience them ourselves. But what if some emotions, some fundamental aspects of being, are simply beyond human grasp? What if demons operate on a spectrum of experience so alien that our attempts to understand them are akin to a blind man trying to describe the color blue? Are demons, in their essence, beyond our capacity for understanding? But what does it truly mean for something to be unknowable? It implies a state of being impossible to fully comprehend due to its inherent nature, something inaccessible through normal perception or reason. The philosophical implications are profound, challenging the very foundations of our quest for knowledge. If demons are indeed unknowable, does it even matter that we attempt to interact with them? Will our attempts at summoning and control ultimately be futile, based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the forces we are dealing with? How will this impact the practice of demonology? The reasons for this potential unknowability are multifaceted. Perhaps demons operate on different dimensional planes, existing in realities that our senses cannot perceive. Perhaps their thoughts are so alien their motivations so removed from human concerns that we can never truly relate to them. Human language, with its inherent limitations, may lack the capacity to convey the concepts and experiences that define demonic existence. Even the most elaborate rituals and incantations may only scratch the surface of a reality that remains forever beyond our grasp. Examples of unknowable or difficult to understand entities abound in mythology, folklore, and literature. Consider Yog-Sothoth, the cosmic entity from H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, a being described as the all-in-one and the one-in-all. Yog-Sothoth exists beyond the boundaries of space and time, its true form incomprehensible to the human mind. Examine also Azathoth, another Lovecraftian creation, a blind, idiot god whose unconscious dreams are said to be the very fabric of reality. How would working with these entities differ from working with the demons of the lesser key? How could a magician hope to control or even communicate with beings whose very nature defies comprehension? What might be the results of such a dangerous pursuit? Grimoires themselves offer glimpses into this unknowable realm. Many demons are described as possessing hidden natures, revealing their true forms and intentions only on a need-to-know basis. Demons may appear differently depending on the practitioner, reflecting the individual's biases, expectations, or even fears. Are there certain demons that should be avoided altogether, entities so dangerous or so alien that any interaction is inherently catastrophic? It is said that some demons will refuse to work with an unethical magician, but what happens when an ethical magician encounters a demon that considers all humans unethical? What then are the implications of this unknowability for relationships between humans and demons? How can a meaningful relationship be formed if there is no hope of truly understanding the other party? What are the limitations of such a relationship, and what can the practitioner hope to gain from it? Must the practitioner fundamentally change their approach to demonology, abandoning the goal of control in favor of something else entirely? Is there even a point in trying to form a relationship with a being that remains forever beyond our grasp? This leads us to the thorny issue of demonic manipulation. We have already explored the potential for demons to twist pacts and subvert human intentions, but is all manipulation inherently a bad thing? Could it be that demons manipulate humanity not out of malice, but to guide us towards some higher purpose? Is manipulation simply a symptom of being misunderstood, a clumsy attempt to bridge the gap between two fundamentally different modes of existence? What are the ethical implications of working with beings whose motives remain forever shrouded in mystery? Despite these inherent limitations, meaningful relationships can still be formed, even with beings we do not fully understand. Practicality dictates that we focus on shared goals and mutual benefits, rather than seeking complete comprehension. If there is intent to benefit, then understanding may not be needed. However, is this a dangerous perspective, blinding us to the true nature of the forces we are dealing with? Might we be deluding ourselves into believing we are in control, when in reality, we are being subtly manipulated towards ends we cannot foresee? Are there perhaps means of partially understanding an unknowable being? Altered states of consciousness, achieved through meditation, trance, or even the use of mind-altering substances, may offer glimpses into the demonic realm. Intuition, that mysterious faculty of the human mind, may provide insights beyond the reach of reason. Chaos magic, with its emphasis on subjective experience and the power of belief, may offer a framework for interacting with demons on a more personal and meaningful level. However, results may vary, and there is no guarantee that these methods will lead to true understanding, rather than simply reinforcing our own preconceived notions. Ultimately, even if demons can never be fully understood, there is still value in studying them. Demons may change humanity, forcing us to confront our own limitations and expand our understanding of the universe. If they are beyond humans, they still exist, so it is still important to study them, if only to learn how to avoid them. The attempt to understand the unknowable may reveal profound aspects about the magician themselves, even if it reveals nothing about the demon. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge, however dangerous, can lead to unexpected insights and transformative experiences. Even with these potential benefits, we must still proceed with caution. What are our real goals in demonology? Are we seeking knowledge, power, or something else entirely? What are the ethical implications of our actions, and what responsibilities do we have to ourselves and to others? Can we truly discern the intentions of demons, or are we simply projecting our own desires and fears onto the void? If you're okay with being manipulated, does it even matter if you are being manipulated? In synthesizing this exploration of the unknowable nature of demons, it is crucial to summarize the key concepts and reiterate the limitations and dangers. The true nature of demons may forever remain beyond our grasp, obscured by dimensional barriers, alien thought processes, and the inherent limitations of human understanding. This unknowability poses significant challenges to the practice of demonology, raising ethical concerns and highlighting the potential for manipulation. Therefore, it is paramount to reinforce ethical responsibility, urging practitioners to approach the demonic realm with humility, caution, and a deep awareness of the forces they are dealing with. If the true nature of demons is ultimately unknowable, what other key parts of demonology are misunderstood? We have explored the limitations of human understanding, the potential for manipulation, and the ethical considerations that arise when dealing with the demonic realm. As we transition into our next section, we will delve into modern misconceptions about demons, challenging the false beliefs that may be more dangerous than believing them. If the true nature of demons is ultimately unknowable, might our beliefs about their motivations, abilities, or even existence be equally flawed? If demons are, in essence, unknowable, then it stands to reason that most of our assumptions about them could be inaccurate. But what if exploring and dispelling these misconceptions is far more dangerous than the misconceptions themselves, potentially unleashing unforeseen consequences upon the unprepared? Perhaps some of these misconceptions, like protective wards, are there for a reason, shielding us from the full, terrifying reality. Historically, perceptions of demons have undergone dramatic shifts, reflecting evolving cultural and psychological landscapes. In ancient times, demons were often viewed as external threats, malevolent entities lurking in the shadows, eager to inflict harm upon humanity. This perspective gradually shifted, particularly with the rise of psychology, towards viewing demons as internal forces, manifestations of repressed desires, psychological complexes, or mental illness. Consider, for instance, the portrayal of demons in medieval folklore compared to their depiction in modern horror films. The former often presented demons as literal beings with horns and pitchforks, while the latter frequently explores the psychological dimensions of possession, blurring the lines between demonic influence and mental breakdown. Pop culture, from television shows to video games, has further shaped our understanding of demonology, often sensationalizing and distorting ancient beliefs for entertainment purposes. Religious perspectives also vary widely, with some traditions viewing demons as fallen angels and others as elemental spirits or forces of nature. The key takeaway is that perceptions are fluid and contextual, rendering any singular modern definition of a demon inherently limited and potentially misleading. Before challenging these assumptions, what precisely constitutes a misconception? At its core, a misconception is a belief that is not based on fact or a misunderstanding of something. When applied to demonology, misconceptions can manifest in various forms. There are misconceptions about demonic motivations, assuming that all demons are inherently evil and seek only to cause harm. Then there are misconceptions about their abilities, exaggerating their powers or believing they can be easily controlled with simple rituals. Others hold misconceptions about demonic origins, believing they are all fallen angels or servants of a singular dark lord. Finally, there are misconceptions about their very nature, failing to recognize the diverse and complex entities they may be. These misconceptions often persist in modern demonology due to a combination of factors: the influence of religious dogma, the sensationalism of pop culture, the psychological need for simple answers in the face of the unknown, and the perpetuation of inaccurate information through poorly researched sources. But what are some of these common misconceptions, and what might be the alleged reality? One prevalent misconception is the idea that demons are inherently evil and constantly seek to possess people. The alleged reality is far more nuanced. Demonic motivations are complex and varied, and possession is relatively rare. Some demons may even work towards goals that humans would consider good, such as promoting justice or challenging oppressive systems. Another misconception is that demons are easily controlled with the right rituals and incantations. However, the alleged reality suggests that control is difficult, and demons can be unpredictable and manipulative, often turning the tables on unsuspecting conjurers. Then, there's the misconception that all demons are servants of a higher power, like Lucifer or Satan. In truth, many demons have their own agendas, independent goals, and hierarchies that do not necessarily align with any singular Dark Lord. Finally, there's the misconception that demons must be banished or destroyed at all costs. Some believe that demons can be reasoned with, negotiated with, worked with, and even befriended, forming mutually beneficial relationships. However, it is crucial to understand that this alleged reality is itself an interpretation, a perspective shaped by individual experiences, biases, and belief systems. For instance, what are the potential consequences of seeking help from a demon, even when the immediate results seem positive? Could such assistance come at a hidden cost, binding the practitioner to unforeseen obligations or altering their moral compass? Similarly, what does it truly mean to reason with a demon? Has the practitioner actually changed the demon's mind, or have they merely altered their own worldview to align more closely with the demonic perspective? The evidence for these alternative interpretations is often anecdotal, found in personal accounts and obscure grimoires, requiring a discerning eye to separate genuine insights from wishful thinking or outright delusion. Why are these misconceptions so prevalent, and what purpose do they serve? Psychologically, these misconceptions provide a sense of control over the unknown, offering simple answers to complex questions. It is far easier to believe that all demons are evil and must be banished than to grapple with the possibility that they are complex beings with their own motivations and desires. Culturally, the influence of religion, literature, and media reinforces these simplified narratives, perpetuating fear and misunderstanding. However, these simplifications, while comforting, can be ultimately detrimental, limiting our understanding, leading to ineffective protection methods, increasing the risk of manipulation, and reducing the potential for gaining genuine insights into the nature of the demonic realm. Still, some of these misconceptions exist for a reason, serving a protective function for the inexperienced. The widespread belief that all demons are inherently evil, for example, may deter novice practitioners from venturing down the dark path without proper preparation, potentially saving them from dangerous encounters. Similarly, the belief that demons are easily controlled can provide a sense of confidence, empowering practitioners to undertake spellwork they might otherwise avoid. It is often difficult to determine fact from fiction in demonology, as much of the available information is shrouded in secrecy, conflicting accounts, and subjective experiences. And of course, we need to acknowledge the alternate views. What if some demons are inherently evil, driven by a malicious intent to corrupt and destroy? What if true control is possible, but only at an unbearable cost, requiring the sacrifice of one's own soul or the subjugation of one's will? Even if some of these misconceptions are wrong, are they truly dangerous, or do they serve a necessary function in maintaining order and preventing chaos? What if certain individuals or institutions benefit from the perpetuation of these misconceptions, using fear and misinformation to maintain their power and influence? And of course, it is important to acknowledge that even these new, alternative views may be wrong too, simply replacing one set of misconceptions with another. Changing perspectives is a constant process in the occult, a never-ending cycle of exploration, experimentation, and revision. The chaos magic movement, for example, embraces the idea that belief itself is a tool, and that practitioners can consciously adopt and discard different belief systems as needed. Despite these counterarguments, it remains crucial to approach demonology with a critical and discerning mind. Not all demons are inherently bad, seeking only to cause harm. Not all demons are looking to make a deal that will cost the conjurer everything. However, it is equally important to remember that demons are not human. They operate on different planes of existence, with motivations and desires that may be beyond human comprehension. Therefore, if one can accept these points, proceeding cautiously is paramount. Approach the study and practice of demonology with discernment, carefully evaluating the available information and remaining skeptical of unsubstantiated claims. Maintain ethical practice, ensuring that your actions are aligned with your values and do not cause harm to yourself or others. Explore alternative views, challenging your own assumptions and remaining open to new perspectives. In summary, many of our beliefs about demons may be wrong, and challenging these misconceptions can be dangerous. Yet despite the risks, exploration is still necessary, provided it is approached with caution, reverence, and a commitment to ethical practice. But can the human mind truly handle the full reality of the demonic realm? What happens when our understanding of demons grows beyond the scope of our original beliefs, shattering our preconceived notions of good and evil, order and chaos? We will soon discover that such an exploration can damage the psyche, pushing the practitioner to the very brink of madness. If our beliefs about demons are challenged, can the human mind truly survive? What if everything you've built your world upon crumbles? Even the strongest minds can break under the weight of altered realities or perceived divine encounters, leaving only fractured remnants of what once was. While some may emerge stronger, forever changed, many others find themselves lost in the labyrinthine corridors of their own minds, unable to distinguish between the whispers of demons and the echoes of their own broken thoughts. Historically, there are numerous accounts of individuals who allegedly suffered mental breakdowns or displayed increasingly erratic behavior attributed to their deep involvement in occult practices. Consider, for instance, the case of Emanuel Swedenborg, the renowned Swedish scientist and theologian who, in his later years, claimed to have direct conversations with angels and spirits, detailing elaborate visions of the afterlife. While some lauded his spiritual insights, others questioned his sanity, pointing to his increasingly bizarre pronouncements and detachment from worldly affairs. Was Swedenborg genuinely granted access to higher realms, or did his intense spiritual pursuits trigger a pre-existing mental condition, leading him down a path of delusion? Then there's the infamous Aleister Crowley, the self-proclaimed Great Beast 666, whose life was a whirlwind of occult experimentation, hedonistic indulgence, and relentless self-promotion. Crowley's eccentric behavior, drug use, and increasingly grandiose claims fueled speculation about his mental stability. Was Crowley truly a master magician unlocking forbidden knowledge, or was he a deeply troubled individual whose occult pursuits exacerbated his inherent psychological vulnerabilities? Accounts of isolated hermits and mystics who retreated from society to seek enlightenment through intense spiritual practices also raise similar questions. Did their prolonged isolation and rigorous self-denial lead to profound spiritual insights, or did it simply erode their grasp on reality, blurring the lines between the earthly and the divine? Was mental illness the cause, or was it demonology? These extreme examples of alleged mental destruction, rooted in ancient practices, may seem far removed from modern life. However, the core concepts remain eerily consistent. While the rituals and incantations may differ, the underlying pursuit of forbidden knowledge and the attempt to manipulate unseen forces can still exert a powerful influence on the human psyche, regardless of the specific cultural context. The difference lies not in the underlying theory, but in the practice. Modern demonologists may not be conducting blood sacrifices in hidden groves, but they may be engaging in equally intense forms of mental and emotional experimentation, pushing the boundaries of their own consciousness in ways that can have profound and potentially destabilizing effects. But what exactly constitutes sanity in the context of demonological pursuits? It's not simply the absence of mental illness, but rather a state of groundedness, a capacity to maintain a balanced perspective, and the ability to prevent demonology from dominating one's life to the exclusion of all other concerns. It's the ability to navigate the treacherous currents of the occult without losing sight of the everyday world, to engage with potentially dangerous forces without succumbing to their influence. But how can this be measured? Is there a quantifiable metric to determine whether one is on the verge of losing their grip on reality, or are the warning signs more subtle, manifesting as gradual shifts in behavior, thought patterns, and emotional responses? Sanity, in the context of demonology, can be affected in various ways, each with its own distinct characteristics and potential consequences. Obsession, for example, can manifest as an all-consuming preoccupation with demonic entities, rituals, and lore, crowding out other interests and responsibilities. Paranoia can arise from the belief that one is constantly under demonic surveillance, leading to mistrust, suspicion, and social isolation. Delusion can take the form of false beliefs or distorted perceptions about oneself, the world, or the nature of demonic forces. Dissociation can create a sense of detachment from reality, leading to emotional numbness, identity confusion, and difficulty functioning in everyday life. It is also important to highlight that not all effects are inherently negative. Some individuals find that their focus sharpens, their minds become more disciplined, and their capacity for understanding expands as a result of their demonological pursuits. However, let's explore some examples of how these factors can lead to mental breakdown. There are countless accounts of individuals who, consumed by their occult interests, isolated themselves from friends and family, retreating into a world of arcane rituals and esoteric studies. There are stories of people who, convinced of demonic conspiracies, became increasingly paranoid, seeing hidden meanings and sinister intentions in every interaction. And then there are tragic tales of those who, gripped by delusions of grandeur or demonic possession, lost their jobs, their families, and their very sense of self. It is important to consider if these individuals had pre-existing mental health conditions that may have predisposed them to these outcomes. If they didn't, were they particularly strong-willed and stable to begin with, or were they simply more vulnerable to the seductive allure of the occult? Contrast this with individuals who claim that their mental health was strengthened, not weakened, by their demonological pursuits. Some report improved focus, enhanced cognitive abilities, and a greater capacity to handle stress and adversity. Some claim that they can now handle more than others. What path did they take? What protections did they use? These individuals often followed a strict ritual schedule, incorporating meditation, mindfulness practices, and regular reality checks to maintain a balanced perspective. They also emphasized the importance of social connection, maintaining strong relationships with friends, family, and therapists who could provide support and guidance. Analyzing the psychological factors involved, it becomes clear that the role of cognitive biases plays a significant part. Confirmation bias, for example, can lead practitioners to selectively seek out information that confirms their pre-existing beliefs about demons, while ignoring evidence to the contrary. This can create a self-reinforcing cycle of delusion, where the more one believes in demons, the more one is likely to perceive their influence. But could demonology simply be used as a scapegoat for underlying psychological issues? Even if demonic forces are not the root cause, the belief in them can certainly enable and exacerbate existing mental health conditions, providing a convenient explanation for one's own irrational thoughts and behaviors. Examining the external and internal factors, we find that loneliness and isolation can create a fertile ground for mental instability, as individuals lack the social support and reality checks necessary to maintain a balanced perspective. Societal influence, particularly the pervasive narratives of demonic possession and evil in popular culture, can also shape one's perceptions and expectations, making it more likely to interpret unusual experiences as demonic in origin. Trauma, whether past or present, can create vulnerabilities that make individuals more susceptible to the psychological effects of demonology. The path to address and then avoid these issues involves seeking therapy, building strong social connections, and cultivating a critical and discerning approach to occult practices. However, it's important to acknowledge that not everyone is at equal risk of experiencing sanity problems as a result of engaging in demonology. Some individuals possess a greater innate resilience, a stronger psychological constitution that allows them to withstand the potentially destabilizing effects of occult practices. Proper protections, both mental and spiritual, can also mitigate the risk of mental degradation. But what constitutes proper protection? Is it simply a matter of reciting specific incantations or wearing protective amulets, or does it require a deeper understanding of the psychological dynamics involved and a commitment to maintaining a balanced and grounded perspective? If these protections are not being used, the magician is far more vulnerable to external and internal pressures. Moreover, it's crucial to remember that sanity problems existed long before demonology, and that there are countless other factors that can contribute to mental instability. Poverty, war, bad relationships, and a whole host of other stressors can take a devastating toll on the human psyche, regardless of whether one believes in demons or not. Demonology may simply exacerbate underlying issues or provide a framework through which to interpret and express pre-existing mental health conditions. Finally, we must consider the possibility that sanity may be lost, at least in the conventional sense, in order to achieve a new and expanded perspective on reality. Acknowledge that some are able to go beyond what is known, and it can lead to greater things. Is it worth the risk? Is the new perspective simply an altered state, a distortion of reality, or does it represent a genuine breakthrough in understanding, a glimpse into a realm beyond human comprehension? Despite these counterarguments, the dangers of demonology are very real, and those who choose to walk this path must proceed with extreme caution. Don't become isolated. Cultivate social connections. Maintain balance in your life. Don't let the pursuit of forbidden knowledge consume you. Still, the potential benefits of demonology are undeniably powerful. Greater understanding of oneself and the universe, deeper self-knowledge, and even spiritual enlightenment can be achieved through responsible and ethical engagement with demonic forces. These benefits may well outweigh the risks, provided that it is approached correctly with proper guidance and support. Therapy, whether traditional or alternative, can provide a valuable tool for maintaining mental stability and processing potentially destabilizing experiences. Strong and supportive relationships can offer a crucial reality check, preventing individuals from becoming too detached from the everyday world. Ultimately, some individuals may simply not belong on this path. Their inherent psychological vulnerabilities, their lack of self-awareness, or their inability to maintain a balanced perspective may make them unsuitable for engaging in such potentially dangerous practices. But if mental issues exist, how do they prevent manipulation? Even without them, demons manipulate. How does one truly stop the potential for all manipulation? Demons can have far-reaching effects on human lives, influencing thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in ways that can be both subtle and profound. Not all of these effects are inherently negative, but when demonic influence becomes pervasive, It can lead to a complete change of perspective, altering one's fundamental understanding of reality, paving the way for an exploration into what happens when everything is influenced. As we reach the end of our exploration into the dark path of the Lesser Key of Solomon, it's time to reflect on the journey we've undertaken and summarize the key insights gained. We are approaching the most hidden conclusion from the most forbidden of paths. We've traversed the historical origins of the Lesser Key, delved into the nature of the 72 demons, and examined the intricacies of summoning rituals, the dark path, and the methods employed for protection. Our exploration has moved beyond mere historical practice, evolving into a philosophical consideration of the subjective experiences, the unknowable realms, and the psychological interplay between humans and these enigmatic entities. The potential acquisition of power has been examined, as well as the profound ethical implications that arise when one seeks to manipulate forces beyond conventional understanding. We have explored the darkness within and without. This journey through the Lesser Key of Solomon connects to broader themes of forbidden knowledge, the insatiable human desire for power, and the eternal search for meaning in a cosmos filled with both light and darkness. This topic reveals the profound depths of human ambition, the lengths to which individuals will go to challenge the perceived limits of reality, and the allure of the unknown. It begs the question, are there forces beyond our current scientific comprehension that shape our destinies? And if so, what can we learn from these forces, even if we can never fully understand their true nature? Demonology, as a study, offers a way to improve human understanding, providing a framework for exploring the hidden aspects of the human psyche and the mysteries of the universe. Even if the practices associated with demon summoning are flawed or misinterpreted, the underlying quest for knowledge and self-discovery holds undeniable value. The goal is not power, but understanding of forces, both external and internal. In offering a final perspective on demon summoning, it's important to acknowledge that there are no easy answers, and the risks involved are very real. However, there is also immense value in traversing this path, in confronting the unknown, and in challenging the boundaries of human perception. The exploration of ethics, the responsible application of knowledge, and the unwavering commitment to caution are paramount. Therefore, do not proceed lightly or without guidance. Whether demons are external entities existing independently of human consciousness or mere reflections of our inner selves, the journey into the unknown continues. Like every journey, we carry within us that which we discover without. If this exploration of the Lesser Key of Solomon and the dark path of demon summoning has resonated with you, we encourage you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us continue exploring these esoteric topics and delving deeper into the mysteries that lie hidden beneath the surface of reality. Join our community of seekers, where we challenge assumptions, explore the unknown, and strive to uncover the hidden truths that shape our world. We have deeper dives coming, so stay tuned and keep watch. Until next time, may your path be illuminated, if the shadows allow it.